Let's go.
Hello and welcome to the mid-season update show. We are so stoked to have you guys here today. It's going to be
got a nice camera.
I hope you guys are ready. Got your snacks, got your drinks. Strap in because it's going to be a long one. We got tons of balance, a ton of awesome skins, including the Avatar Battle Pass and a rework and a remodel. And here to break things down with me, I got AJ and Pond from Design. How are you guys doing?
He's lagging a little bit.
Good. I'm. You guys are looking great today, might I say. I knew I would be wearing a new shirt, but I did not know all of y'all would be wearing a new shirt.
Okay.
Apparently, the Tev team has a favorite Sandforge item.
He's got he's got 12 pixels.
Yeah, I had to actually venture
somebody give him more pixels.
The apartment to go get it, but it's been going good.
I ordered mine day one that they went online, and it got here just in time.
Somebody get this man.
We had to get prepped and ready to go. And it's going to be a long show, so let's go ahead and get right to it, guys. We're going to kick it off with the bonus update that's going to be live next Tuesday, June 20th. And let's kick it off with bonus balance.
Bonus balance.
Aphrodite going to be up first.
Okay.
Undying Love, her ultimate ability. We're increasing the cooldown from 90 down to 70, and it's going to be 90 seconds at all ranks here.
Aphrodite's still putting up some pretty big numbers. This is a counterplay focused change, right?
So
this item provides,
or
this ability provides. We're going to talk about a lot of items, but immunity and CC immunity, damage immunity and CC immunity for two people on a team. That's a really, really big fight swinging type of ultimate, and a low cooldown, and especially a low cooldown plus a low cooldown build.
They should be nerfing
really
her.
hard
She
to find
every
windows
game.
where you can actually make a play against Aphrodite. So something like this is going to help a lot of counterplay against her.
That's why I moved up here.
Sure.
90 at all ranks.
Up,
okay.
Cthulhu.
Good. Yeah.
The big boy is getting a little bit of a nerf here in bonus balance. Descend into Madness, his ultimate ability. We're going to be increasing the cooldown there from 100 seconds to 120. We're also removing some damage mitigation during the wind-up. And then Transfuse, the ultimate 3, we're going to be reducing the healing on that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really fun watching his release. It seems like he's been driving some people insane. Some people thinking he's really, really strong. Some people think he's a little underwhelming.
He's not underwhelming.
Yeah, we're on the edge of he's pretty strong. Yeah. We're looking to
Nobody thinks he's underwhelming.
Frustration issues people are having. The ultimate is obviously a really big swing kind of play that you can make. We're going to make this cooldown a bit more appropriate for that level of power and give a little more counterplay to where if you're trying to burst him, you can't just use this as an immediate effective immunity. And then Transfuse provides some healing and some extra utility, turning that back down. Just hits towards like that big key moment. Overall, he's doing really well, and we're excited to see how people keep playing.
He is doing very well.
For sure. All right, up next, Heimdall. We're going to be seeing a nerf to Gallahorn, decreasing the knockback strength on that ability.
Good.
And then the Bifrost, we're going to be increasing the base time it takes to teleport.
Yeah.
Here I'm singing a similar tune as Aphrodite. These are big counterplay changes.
There you go.
Heimdall uses that knockback strength
his teleport
mostly
is
to interrupt
so
people that
quick.
are diving on him to gank him. And the Bifrost, that is a pretty big change, actually. 0.3 seconds. It might look like a relatively small amount, but in the terms of combat,
0.5 to 0.8, that's nice.
That's a relatively long time, and that is
almost double.
Specifically
that's almost
the time
double,
that he has to stand
0.5 to 0.8
inside of his own crystal before he teleports
I love
out.
that.
So increasing that is going to, both of these changes combined are going to make Heimdall a little less safe to play. Really, he's got really strong damage and some control elements, which are kind of his features.
Good change.
He really is not
That's
supposed to have so much
good
safety.
change.
So both of these nerfs are there to address that.
All right, we got a nerf for a Norse Hunter. Now it's time for a Norse Mage. Hell, going to be seeing a nerf here in the next bonus
buddy,
update.
we're nerfing
Decay
the healers.
/ Restoration. We're going to be decreasing the damage on that. It's going to count for both the light and the dark stance. And then we're also going to be decreasing the healing scaling on the light stance for this ability.
You love to see it.
Yeah, so we saw a lot of people really
decrease
damage
pick up Hell
and see it as this very valuable mage.
Counts for both light and dark.
Game bowling potential is obviously very high,
and decrease the healing from 30 to 25. Nice. Good. They're nerfing the one. Good.
The base damage on decay and restoration will kind of like limit her lane bullying ability, as well as the decreased scale on the healing will just affect her healing over the course of the whole game. I feel like these two adjustments are going to bring her down. Just
good changes.
We need to.
Good changes.
It's just Norseland. We're just in Asgard. Another Norse god, a guardian this time, Jormungand, the World Serpent. This is a general change. We're just going to be decreasing the basic attack damage on Jormungand.
Huh. Okay.
Yes, especially with the Warrior's Blessing changes we've seen recently.
Interesting.
That's
They're
mitigating.
His
that was
attack.
mitigating a lot of Gorm's basic attack damage, which now he's doing more damage because of that. He was already pretty clearly in the meta. He had been dropping, I'd say, a little bit in pro play, but he was definitely still a contender.
Because Warrior's Blessing no longer reduces
top slot, and
your
here we are
damage
to readjust
baseline.
Again. And you know, we're going to see a lot of solo lane changes later in today's show, so spoiler alert. But we don't want Jormungandr to really be there bullying people out when we want to have a good time for experimentation with the new items and other gods that we're buffing today. So hopefully this makes it a nice open playing field for the mid-season patch.
All right, moving right along. Next up is Nike. She came out of nowhere and saw some pro league play, and players tend to agree that she's pretty strong.
Best patch ever, dude.
Be seeing a nerf to her barrier formation, decreasing the damage on that ability.
Please something else
and then Sentinel of Zeus, her ultimate. We're going to be decreasing the slow duration from 6 seconds at all ranks, and then making it scale up from 4 seconds.
I'll take it. Yes.
Yeah, we saw especially Nike jungle really was a thing that like pushed Nike into the forefront of competitive play, and then we saw some more flexible play from Nike outside of that.
I'm loving these
base damage on barrier
nerfs,
formation was
these are
contributing
all
a lot
bonus
to
balance
clear and
nerfs,
bullying
so these will be live
and especially
like in a week
level
or something.
5, your ult, that 6-second duration slow was really the thing that pushed her over the edge. We're turning that back down to 4 seconds, giving players more opportunity to counterplay around it, but keeping the strength of her late game team fight.
All right, next up on the list is Sobek, and we're going to be seeing a nerf to lurking in the waters here. We're going to be decreasing the protections that he gains while channeling this ability.
That's fair.
This character is still
really
one of the
good.
top played gods in ranked conquest. Has been for most of the season so far, since some buffs we did recently. We did a little bit of a nerf a couple patches ago, and now we're looking at another one here.
Every game,
specifically,
Sobek and Hercules,
lurking in the waters is an ability that does a lot of things, right?
So.
It can do pretty big damage if you make sure you complete that channel time. It also makes Sobek really hard to kill. Sobek is already pretty good at escaping from dangerous situations. Sometimes, you know, missing that pluck can mean certain death for Sobek, but other times he gets out of things that you are just like, there is no reason that should have happened. So here we're just going to decrease this protection bonus a little bit, make sure that he has those available punish windows. Again, you know, a similar theme as you've seen us addressing some of these other changes here today.
with all these changes
we think that with these strong gods, regardless of where their win rate lies, a lot of times counterplay issues are what cause a lot of the frustration. So you see that we're here really focusing on that today.
All right, last up for bonus balance, we've got Yamoja. We're going to be making a change to Mending Waters, decreasing the shield, and then Riptide. We're going to be decreasing the movement speed bonus that allies gain after traveling through the Riptide.
Nice.
Yeah, I think we saw near not 100% pick ban for Yamoja, which is why she's kind of on this list still. Just the utility that she really brings to a team fight and that flexibility, especially with her Omi system.
This bonus balance is
allows
excellent.
you to just spam heals and shielding on people, or to get them out of trouble,
decrease
or to try and pick people
decrease
with
movement speed from
We're just taking away some of the safety of the shielding as well as the utility of the Riptide for her own team, allowing teammate or teams to really kind of chase after Yamoja a bit more effectively.
Yes.
Cool. Well, that wraps it up for bonus balance, guys. Those changes are going to be live in game for you guys next week, June 30th. We've also got a few awesome skins that we want to show off. The first one being Living Weapon Tier. This is going to be a part of the Grim Omens event, the last chapter in that event. So if you guys haven't bought into Grim Omens yet, tons of awesome content there. And this tier skin is really, really cool.
Can you please stop bribing?
I really like how this one turned out.
This
was I'll continue to bribe him. One when we were first coming up with the idea, but the artist execution across the concept and modeling team.
Oh yeah. Ooh, I don't know what that is, but it's scary. What is that?
Oh my gosh.
Is that Tyr?
Yeah, it's really a new take on a sort of mutant or maybe a little bit demonic type of feel theme.
Oh God!
Sure. The more I look at it, like the more things I notice.
His sword is his arm.
Creepy. Like, he's got an entire mouth just on his side underneath his arm, and it's just like, how did that even get there? And apparently, I heard from the animation team that this one has some sort of unique tongue animation that plays randomly.
Oh man, that's cool.
You guys are playing against this.
Scary jaws open up and he has this like big lizard tongue that comes out, and it is like you'll see it if you go into the game and you go to the god selection screen to look at his model in the game. You'll definitely see it. It's awesome.
That's clever.
Yeah, that's creepy. All right, next up for Grim Omens, the last skin in Chapter 4 is Mystical Manipulator Nox, and this one is really cool.
Manipulator Nox, okay.
So another of our Mystic line, but with a twist. We did a bunch of the Mystic skins earlier. I think it was mostly last year. And this one we were looking at Nox, and we thought about really kind of approaching
Nox
it almost more
usually
from the
come down to like
aspect,
the spell effects and stuff, though. Sometimes her effects are like super cool.
The voice pack for this, we really saw like kind of like exploring like the
we'll
idea that the mystic like archers kind of come in and like ruin her plans all the time, and she's done with that.
Hey, she's getting a skin. Maybe they're buffing Nox.
Super cool. Yeah, so now you've got a full team of mystic archers, and now you got the villain to fight against. It's going to be super cool. All right, the last skin for the bonus update that we want to show off today is Galaxy Forger Vulcan. This is another one in our new recent take on the Galaxy theme, and these are some of my favorite.
Ooh, I love the Galaxy theme.
Vulcan was a great choice for this theme.
Yo, is his ulti like a giant black hole?
The way he constructs things, and so he's got his turret there and his hammer.
Yeah.
It's a really cool
I
idea.
love the Galaxy theme.
Oh my gosh, I love the like black hole in the head. That's just cool. It's a really cool focal point.
Yeah, that looks sweet.
Oh, look at that hammer.
Super cool too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh
it's
yeah,
like galactic, but it has that kind of like prism structure on
into
it.
it.
So it's like a solid
I'm in it to win it.
Oh,
that's a cool hammer. That's a cool whatever that back thing is.
Like you can see like the stars floating.
I don't care what it is. It's cool. I like it.
The art team just knocks these.
I'm sure the abilities on that are rad.
All right, that is it for our bonus update. That'll be live for you guys next week on June 30th. Now we just want to take a little bit of time to talk about some community news for you guys. The first thing that we want to talk about is, you guys all see it, we're all rocking the For Fans by Fans merch that is newly available. All that stuff is available now.
Wait, is that?
Tons of
that's
community,
AMA. I just realized
design,
that shirt
shirts,
is AMA
hoodies,
wearing
pads,
Ajax
backpacks,
wearing
tons
AMA.
Of awesome stuff that you guys can pick up. And I also want to
really
give a short shout out to
I just realized
Zelgot,
is what
who
that shirt is.
Won the competition. And if you guys haven't played a game yet, you can play a game and unlock this avatar in the game for free.
Nice.
We got to shout out to our guy Raging Cajun for designing this specific shirt that all three of us are wearing
too funny.
today.
It's great.
But there's a lot of other really cool designs on there. This one's a little more comedic, but if you're looking for something more serious, we have a few from Rob Draws that are beautiful.
That's hilarious.
There's some really cool stuff. There's some cute ones. There's some serious ones. We got a really good selection.
I don't care what they are, Ajax. That's the best shirt you have.
I gotta plug the Maxnomic chair. I'm not Dulcin, so I'm gonna try my best here. But we've got the pre-orders available for the SMITE X Maxnomic chair, and we've got the code SMITE Max that you guys can use for a discount. And I actually heard they're actually throwing in a free embroidery to put your gamer tag or in-game name here.
Do I get
one?
one?
Yeah, like I said, I'm not Dulcin, but here's a video for you guys to check out.
Give me a chair. I want it. Do I? Wait. I can get it.
You have yet to see the meaning of cruel.
Let the heavens rage!
My chair. Where'd the chair go? Where's my chair? I'm in it. I'm in it. You can't keep me away. My chair. I'm gonna get in it. My name is me. It's a me. I'm audio. No. Mine. Wait, I need it. What? I need my name. Quick. No. I need my name on the chair. What? Am I? Quick. I gotta embroider it. We did it. It's a me. I did it. Woo! It's legally mine now. You gotta send it to me. It's got my name already on it. They can't. They got to. They have no choice. Sorry, folks. Guess you gotta just send it on over.
Chair is looking super clean.
Winning.
Hope you guys are comfy.
That's how it works legally, okay?
Lock in and start talking about the mid-season update. We're gonna start with Project Olympus, and the first thing that we want to talk about is mastery skins. It looks like Kronos, Kumbhakarna, Yanis, and Agni are gonna have their mastery skins updated.
Turning you up a little bit.
And correct me if I'm wrong, AJ, but we're done.
I'm honestly afraid to say that myself, because it's something that has been 3 or 4 years in the making.
Mastery skins are finally done.
As of now, we have updated all of the gods' mastery skins to the newer, higher quality style, and it's just, I mean, it's been a massive task. It feels very good to have finally completed it.
I know, right? It's like the feeling you get when you finally check off that thing that's been on your to-do list for 3 years.
Yeah, for actual years, and you know they look great, of course. So, looking forward to having all the people who main those characters be able to finally bring themselves into season 7 with the new mastery skins.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we saw the Reddit thread about Kumba like literally yesterday.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah, there was. He looks much better now.
Okay.
Definitely. Speaking of looking much better, the God of War is going to be looking
Ares
a whole
remodel.
lot better in mid-season update. He is getting a visual update. We kind of hinted at it a couple shows ago, but the Ares visual update is coming out in the mid-season update. His base model, recolor, and mastery skins are all getting an
so
update,
still kind of similar.
Is so dope.
Good.
It really
so
is.
good.
The model
Same
is
kind of
amazing.
theme-ish.
It's absolutely amazing. Are we going to jump into game to look at it today?
I do want to see it
I
in
believe
game,
we
though.
have turnaround videos for the base model gear that we'll be able to show. There we
nice.
He looks
His
hands finally like the God of War.
Yeah.
And don't forget that
sword and shield
recolor.
is
He's less
recolor
chunky.
with the all black armor is
He's
also
less
one of the coolest
blobby.
recolors in the game. So when you see that one with the new model,
Very
it
nice.
looks so good. The masteries, the art team. I'm so stoked about this. You know I'm a big Ares player, and he looks absolutely.
He's
gorgeous.
not all torso
Sure.
now.
Oh, there
Yeah,
it is.
exactly.
Start for the recolor. I don't think we have
So
the
good.
models ready for the recolor and the mastery, but you'll be able to
Nice.
see them in
Good.
game. Once
Good
we
for
go live
Ares.
on PTS, and they look so clean.
And the most important thing about this whole update to some of our veteran players is that the classic skin will still be available in the game. If you want to still look like original retro Ares, you will be able to acquire that similarly in the way that you did for the Isis.
Okay.
Cool. All right, we got one more topic of Project Olympus that we want to talk about, and it's bonus chests. It's been a long time. We've been hearing feedback from players like, I got all these chests that I'm sitting on that I can't open.
Me too.
So we're actually making some changes to how we handle bonus chests next update. We'll have a blog out later on this week that kind of goes into more detail. But the TLDR is that we're adding some extra items to those chests that you initially aren't able to roll right now, that you'll be able to roll and get rewards. And depending on the tier of the chest, you'll get different rewards. So it looks like for like things like the divine and awesome chest, you'll be able to roll those and get gems. And then things like the champion, godlike, and hero chest, you'll be able to now roll those and get team boosters if you own everything in the chest.
Nice. I've got like
long time
30 chests that I can't open.
Those chests that you just haven't been able to get anything out of because you acquired the content none other ways, we're now going to give you straight up gems for those better chests, which is really nice. So yeah, a lot more changes to the chests, and we're going to give a lot more detail when we release that blog later in the week.
All right.
I would love
you guys ready to talk about balance?
Yes, I am.
For like the next hour and a half? Sure.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get it done in a reasonable amount of time.
Balance.
There's so much stuff.
All right, let's go ahead and kick it off. And for you guys watching at home, patch notes are live on the site right now if you guys want to follow along. So let's go ahead and start. Let's talk about ranked Pon. What we got going on for ranked coming in mid-season?
Yeah, so ranked, we're doing this is the kind of mid-season update we have for ranked. The big things here are we're doing the kind of same style of variance reset and the reset for the top-end players. We saw a lot of success with that over the course of this whole kind of like season so far. We're continuing to keep it going, as well as this is the first time this year that we're resetting the God leaderboard as well. So we stopped resetting the God leaderboard, allowed you to kind of build up your like, maybe you had like 5 gods you're really good with and want to get them all to like diamond, show that off. You definitely could, but now we're resetting that, so now God maybe there'll be another number 1 Kuzenbo main or another 1 Thanatos main. So you got to actually play for those things. We have some more stuff in the works that we're trying to get out to you that we want to get out for mid-season, but we couldn't quite get there. So we'll have an update for that as soon as
we going to actually increase the MMR count?
All right, stay tuned for more updates on ranked. All right, next up, let's talk about Joust really quick. We're making some changes to the mode here. It looks like we're going to be removing some protection scalings from fire minions, as well as decreasing their health scaling and their max health scaling. For
Very important to note that
both
this is
brutes and archers.
This will affect Joust and Duel. So we did some balance on this throughout the year. We've been getting some feedback from, especially from dual players, that these extra tanky late game fire minions are kind of causing anticlimactic matches. So we're going to be toning that down. Make sure you really have to rely on that God versus God combat to end the game.
Cool. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the update. Let's talk about Conquest, guys.
Yeah, let's
give me the general idea of what's happening.
Hit me, Ajax. Give me something new and exciting.
Yeah, this is probably better for AJ. No, I'll get it.
We were both trying to throw to each other. Pon, you're my jungler. But this isn't for this isn't just for the jungle. It is a jungle update, but obviously in Smite the jungle affects everyone.
Yes. So the big things that we're having here is the jungle is now going to be a much more living entity of the map. All the jungle camps as a whole are getting these new kind of treatments. Some of them will actually defend their own home territory. Some will be a bit more defensive. Each will have different abilities that you kind of have to play around, and if you don't play around them, you're going to be taking more damage. And that's all kind of culminating with, as well as some changes to the pacing of the jungle, how difficult they are to kill for both players who aren't junglers and junglers. So there's a lot to go over here, but we really did want to kind of overhaul the jungle, make it feel more living, make it feel like a bit more threatening, and something that with more investment that everyone can feel good about.
Okay. I'm already into it.
And obviously,
I'm already very into it.
These are major changes here, but we're also looking towards conquest for next season. Isn't that right, AJ?
Okay.
Yes, we are comfortable to say today that in Season 8, there will be a new conquest map.
Yes!
Not going to say anything more than that. We just want people to know that conquest is still very important to us as a development team.
Yes!
And this current map, we think, has been very successful. We've learned a lot of things from it, and we've had a lot of fun with it. But in Season 8, we will be bringing a new conquest map to SMITE.
Thank you. Yes, best announcement ever.
All right, let's go ahead and start breaking things down. Let's start with the jungle shrine. We're making some changes here. Now it's mid-season, it's only going to require a single attack to claim the full bounty, and then we're also increasing the gold per stack from 5 to 10.
Double it. Double it,
Pom-Pom.
Yep, it's we got some feedback that the jungle shrine and optimizing the jungle shrine in particular didn't feel like a meaningful decision to make in the match. Sure, you could optimize it, but the reward wasn't quite there. The reward is much more there, as well as announcing a single attack to fully claim, so no more like having to like
one auto attack to claim it and twice as much cash.
As you're going to the
I think it'll give you some serious moolah,
dude. The most important thing is being there to.
It's gonna be important.
Cool. All right.
Before we
that's like an actually important thing on the map now.
Let's talk about lane minions really quick.
That's a straight up important
we're making
objective.
some adjustments, mostly to the AI. Pon, you want to go into detail on kind of the things that we're doing here?
Yeah, so we took a look at the AI for the minions. We know that there have been some like complaints about how they behave. Sometimes they don't feel very responsive. So now we have separate AI trees for both melee and archer. So in the future, especially, we can do a lot of separate treatment for them. But we did a performance pass on them to make sure that they were performative. Obviously, whenever you have something that's there times 72, you have to make sure that it's gonna work well. But the big things to note is the way they path to lane, the kind of jostling that we get, where sometimes the archer and the melee can kind of swap places or they get bunched up. That should be lessened. It'll be we've done some things to make their pathing smoother and make sure that they are moving to their locations as they should. As well as they are now going to be much more responsive and actually seeing you walk into lane. So no more you walk into lane, they just ignore you for a whole second. Now they'll be pretty snappy to actually look at you. And the final big thing, which will actually change a lot of how minion grouping works, is right now they currently target the same target until that target dies and then they choose a new one. Now after every shot they will retarget to their closest target, which means minion way is now kind of more evenly trayed, and you're more likely to see them kind of bunch up in the center of the lane rather than like kind of snowball to one side and snowball there. So lots of changes that are going on there. It'll be really interesting to see you guys actually play around with them.
That is interesting.
But AI overall has kind of happened for these minions.
Big competitive implications here. You know, we've always kind of had some feedback about lane minions feeling a little inconsistent or sometimes really pushing waves even when no one was there. So now they should be more consistent. But AI is really difficult to predict exactly how it's going to occur. So of course, you know, keep an open dialogue with the community and with the pro players as we test this change.
Cool. Good.
All right,
Loving it.
And one more point before we hop into the jungle. Just want to touch on mid lane really quick. The two new camps of the 2 small harpies that we added at the beginning of the season, these camps are going to be changed to have a single elder harpy instead of 2 smaller harpies.
An elder harpy.
Yeah, this is essentially a mid lane nerf.
Dang it!
Mid laners are still getting really ahead in experience in most of our, measurements. So instead of 2 small harpies, you're going to have 1 large harpy, so it's going to be worth a little bit less gold in experience.
We deserve
and
that.
Be a little harder to kill.
We deserve that, mid laners. We know.
So it's more easy to be stolen. And then there's just going to be a lot of changes today across the jungle to the XP and gold rewards, as well to the tankiness. These I would just say
had too much farm.
Be careful over reading into them in text. It can be really hard to kind of estimate and imagine in your mind how all of these numbers being shifted are going to play out. But when you get to the PTS and you get to this update launched, we are expecting to see more consistent performance from all the different roles, especially in the XP and gold gain areas. So we want junglers to be more even with mid laners. We want the duo lane to be able to catch up to the rest of the team better. All the changes you're seeing today in regards to experience and gold
maybe we'll get some more support
to make sure that all of the roles
maybe they'll fix some support action.
Awesome.
Head back over to duo for a bit.
Hop into the jungle.
Let's
What's
see what
going
happens
on in the jungle with these new jungle camps?
So we can kind of go down the list of each of the jungle monsters. The big things to note is some camps are now aggressive, so they will actually attack you upon sight and when you enter their domain. So you can see here, these guys are looking at me, but they're just kind of staring at me. They might not want to fight me, so we'll see that kind of behavior later. But now these guys, upon being like tankier as well, will also, you see that warning there on the ground? They're attacking me.
Are we going in game? Oh yeah, okay. Here we go.
Okay.
There we go.
So you can see there, I have to dodge these things while I'm fighting. So red warning, gotta sidestep.
So every jungle camp is being assigned either aggressive or defensive. Aggressive monsters will attack you as soon as you enter the area, so you cannot even path through their area without them at least moving towards you and trying to attack you. Some of them will still be staying defensive, which is the way they currently behave.
Plus it has like a little cone attack
first.
Okay.
In addition to that, every jungle camp is having a new ability added to it.
Fun.
This is the Centaur camp, and he has the Spear Thrust ability, which if you don't strafe it, you're going to take a lot more damage.
Correct. And you can see here, these guys are really tanky. I'm 51 minutes into this match. Don't use this as the benchmark for how tanky these camps are going to be.
Wow, 51 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see that the setup time it took to get this map launched up for us to stream it. But yeah, you can see here, this is the attack. That's the one on the ground. And each camp is going to have their own unique thing to kind of consider.
Interesting.
Right, so the Manticores, Chimeras, Harpy, Gold Fury, Fire Giant, those are the aggressive monsters. So mostly the duo side of the map.
Oh, wait, the Fire
bosses.
Giant?
The
defensive Wait, the Fire Giant and the Gold Fury are hitting you?
Wise
oh,
and
that's
civilized
interesting,
monsters across the map. So the Oracles,
Fire Giant just beating on you when you walk by is interesting.
So the solo side of the map, those monsters will not attack you unless you attack them first. One of the most important things here is this really just makes certain parts of the map more dangerous.
Yeah.
You can't just walk through the Gold Fury pit to gank duo anymore. The Gold Fury will see you and try to attack you. If you enter the Fire Giant's area, he tries to summon magma pools under you. I know a lot of people use that area for a safe like recalling. I feel like that's an especially common place to do that pawn. Can't do that anymore. So we're making the whole map a little more tactical and just the way you fight around the map, as well as trying to add a lot more
don't let them know that it bugged out, Punch.
To the
Punch, walk away.
Jungling
the idea
or
is
just
cool.
clearing
walk away.
your jungle camp from whatever lane you're playing.
They're only aggroing one time right now.
And you can see there's a lot of like. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Fawn. I'm sorry.
As you can see there, like especially when you're trying to ward this area, you might actually like cause a fire, like a fire pool to spawn, and you actually have to play around that. So there's a lot of.
Oh, it has a 30-second cooldown on the Fire Giant attack.
In defending their home territory.
That's a weird thing, but all right.
Cool for sure. So I think we just want to go down the list, and you want to start with the Alpha Harpy here, and just talk about all the new abilities for all the new jungle camps.
Let me go fast.
Do that. Let me go fast. Go fast. Oh god, he's really going fast.
Gonna room it.
He's real fast.
The first here is the Alpha Harpy camp. You can see it's fighting me, and then it does that kind of screech attack.
Okay.
Obviously this is in dev. Once we get to PTS, we'll have like the full icon stuff there. You can see the temp icon there, but this debuff is going to actually be affecting my ability to deal damage to targets. It's going to reduce my attack speed. So if I'm going to fight this, I probably want someone to help me to take that attack speed buff, or if I'm the hunter, I'm just going to have to deal with taking it more slowly.
Interesting. I love that they're making the jungle camps more interesting.
About these changes is that some of them will even affect the way you fight gods. Or many of them will affect the way that you fight gods, or if you end up being invaded or fighting another player while you're doing this, they're going to affect you here.
15% attack speed debuff stacked up to 2 times, 30% attack speed.
To slow down your damage output. Also,
as if they weren't hard enough to kill before, right?
Sort of gameplay challenge involved, something that you might often see in like MMOs and games, similar games. So really, this Harpy, one way you can mitigate this, right, is to duo it. You can have your Guardian take the attack speed debuff so that your Hunter can still output that max damage.
That's interesting.
And each of these camps has a little kind of trick to the trade as you learn and fight with these new mechanics.
For sure.
It's very interesting.
All right, next up we got the Elder Harpy and the regular Harpy. So these Harpies don't have any sort of new abilities, but they do follow the aggressive behavior type. So if you walk into their area,
interesting. Path, if you admit, you can get bought. There's going to be so many minions getting kills
nowadays.
Harpies
are the baseline monster.
It's going to be so funny.
Map. And even the
people are going to be running away with 1 HP. They're going to forget, and it's going to get whopped on by a jungle camp. It's going to be so funny.
Or it could interrupt your blink or some other things.
Everybody is going to die to it at the start.
Yeah, I tried to hide in a camp once, and I was like, oh no, the camp is just, it's fighting me now. So it definitely changes how you're going to play.
That's so funny.
For sure. All right,
So
next
then...
up we've got the Manticore, or the red buff, and he has got a new ability called Berserk.
Okay, Mr. Manticore.
I believe we're going to go in game here for all of these and show you guys.
Here I actually have to get...
Yeah, because he's super tanky. This one triggers when he gets to low HP.
Okay.
A lot of the abilities will trigger as you're fighting them, like just shortly after fighting them. But
when he goes below 45% health, he has increased attack speed, causing players to take more damage over time. Dude, that's like a lot of attacks.
Which is going to make you take a lot more damage if you don't clear.
Oh my goodness.
And the kind of intended dev challenge here is to save your burst damage, save maybe an ability or two, till he's already low health.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, so you can see his attack speed right now.
He's gonna beat your butt as a mid laner in the early game, dude. You try to come over and do that red buff, and he just starts beating your cheeks.
Significantly faster, like probably 1.5 or 1.7, as well as like he is hitting harder as well. Especially early game, this can absolutely destroy your health pool if you don't play around it.
Very scary.
For sure. All right, next up on the list, we've got the Chimera, or the purple buff, and his new ability is Void Sludge.
That really changes things for mid.
This one's really interesting. We did a wide range of different
They're
types
all
of abilities
interesting,
on these
Ajax.
characters.
I'm loving
we wanted to try
it.
a lot of different things. So you have things like the Centaur, the Manticore, which you kind of just dodge attacks. But then you have ones like the Void Sludge. So what this does is whoever gets first aggroed by the camp will be afflicted by the Chimera's Void Sludge. It's an unmissable ranged projectile. It'll shoot at you.
Okay.
What this does is apply a long duration debuff that decreases your protections by 20%, so it makes you, quite vulnerable. But it also has another new side effect, which it makes you nearly invisible to minion AI. So you will be able to take more damage from gods, but you will also be able to make like power plays in lanes without getting the minions to aggro you. So you can do a really cool, interesting rotation after you fight this camp and you go to duo lane, where one of your gods in your team can actually prevent themselves from being attacked by the minions.
Yep, there's a lot of really high-level things that you can do, especially in like level 1, like lane pressure. That's like a thing that you're kind of like dealing with minion AI and making sure they don't damage you too much. This really changes up
protections,
like, 20%. You can actually be aggressive and know that they aren't going to hit you.
Enemy minions will prioritize you less, even if you deal damage to an enemy god.
All right, next up is the Centaur, or yellow buff. We kind of touched on this at the beginning of the segment, but do you guys want to go into a little bit more detail on his new attack, the Spear Thrust?
Really interesting.
Yeah, so this is a warning area that is going to come from the center guy. He, if you get hit by it, it just does bonus damage. It's pretty significant, especially early on in the game, where if you just kind of eat all these, you're going to leave yellow buff with quite low
3 times its basic
so you got to
attack
strafe
damage.
and actually like kind of combat strafe to make sure you're not being hit by it. This might make it difficult to see people coming. It's just an extra thing to kind of worry about.
3 times.
Try and avoid it if you can.
That's the simple dodge it one. For this one that we knew junglers would be soloing by themselves often in the early game, we didn't want anything too fancy, but we did want something that made them have to think a little bit more, made them have to move a little bit more. So you will have to watch out for that.
Man, these changes are great.
Attack, which will do
I love making the PvE a little bit more dynamic, because that's like something you have to do every game, all game, right?
For the buff holders,
just like makes it a little bit more interesting.
And we're right here. So what's going on with this?
I like that a lot.
Looks like
I really like it actually. That's wonderful.
Yeah, this one has had some bigger balance changes as well. So now it's only a single satyr, and he is worth the same amount of XP and gold as a normal trio of camps. So this blue camp is still worth the same amount. His special ability is that he will summon spirit satyrs to help him. These have very low HP, but do a lot of damage. And you'll need to make sure you save an AoE attack or a cleave to clear these while you're fighting him, or you will end up wasting a lot of your basic attacks on them, or you'll end up taking a considerable amount of additional damage while fighting him.
You can see some of these abilities have cooldowns associated with them. So I was fighting him the first time he spawned them. Second time, it was still on cooldown, and now the third time he's actually used it again.
Okay.
They are quite squishy. They don't give any actual additional
like the fire
reward. But if you don't have an AoE ability to really kind of get rid of them, they're going to ramp up some damage.
Interesting.
The cooldown is an interesting thing because even players can use the cooldown as a way to circumvent the mechanic, and we're okay with that. But you're wasting time, spending time letting the camp reset.
That's fascinating.
Things like that. And the cooldown is important
God,
because some
of
these
juggle changes
triggered multiple times could have caused other problems, right? We didn't want this to have a whole army of spirit satyrs just running across the jungle here. So I believe it's this one and the purple are the ones with strictly enforced cooldowns.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, that wraps it up for buff camps. Let's start talking about some neutral objectives here.
Red buff.
Pyromancer is up first.
Or no, blue.
The Pyromancer has a new ability called Infernal Ritual.
Pyromancer, baby.
So the big thing to note is now the Pyromancer, and when we get to it, the Oracles they already were are now CCable. And the whole point there is they have this long duration channel that if you don't interrupt and don't play around, it's going to actually pretty negatively affect your ability to clear them, or make it so that enemies are more easily able to actually jump on you and hurt you.
Stunned? Yo, you have to literally CC the Pyromancer.
Here, you can see that big giant wind up into an actual aura effect that's on me right now. I have a debuff effect on me.
Fascinating.
This one, I believe, is I take more damage. If I am remembering correctly. I'm taking damage, increased damage from all sources.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it looks like 15% if you get hit by it.
So yeah, if you're fighting Pyromancer and you
gotta
CC
the Pyro, dude.
The enemy team can actually come out and pretty heavily swing a fight against you. So Pyromancer might not be as safe of an objective if you can't play around this mechanic, or you don't have access to it, or burn a stun, and that gives an opportunity for the enemy team to come in. So there's definitely a lot more consideration with when you're fighting the Pyromancer now.
One of the main effects that you're going to see is happening from the Pyromancer and the Gold Fury is that if you're just trying to bait the objective, so you know it's a common strategy in high-level play where you attack it and you just kind of stand here and let the other team approach. This is going to make that more risky, specifically that play, because you're more likely to be afflicted by these additional abilities that these characters are now going to have.
I love it.
Cool. All right. Moving right along, we're going to do the Oracles next, and they have another ritual, but they have the guarding ritual. And I'll go ahead and read what they got going on. It looks like shortly after the Oracles are attacked, they'll channel for 3 seconds, and if they successfully channel the ability, they cast the Guardian Ritual, which grants the Oracles 40% reduced damage from all sources.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, so you can see there, I didn't interrupt the channel, and so my first lead did like 110 damage versus the 220. That it did when they were.
Oh man, they'd be so tanky.
So you don't interrupt this; it can drastically slow down your ability to clear these. This
Lord!
Vision on the Gold Fury.
Woo!
Turn it off one more time.
All right, next up, we touched on it earlier. For the Fire Giant, whenever you walk into the Fire Giant area, he is now going to spawn those molten pools.
Yep, so you can see here I aggroed the Fire Giant. He's not happy with me.
30%, 30-second cooldown on that.
Easily avoidable. Not something that's going to really interfere too much, but if I'm trying to bait Fire Giant, if I'm trying to like push people out and get position on here, I now have a little bit more to consider, and it creates some opportunity for enemies to also counter-engage.
Fascinating.
This one has scared me a few times, just in playtests, right? I'm just walking through the jungle, I think I'm okay, and then boom, this Fire Giant appears.
It's going to scare me.
It was really about making the jungle feel more alive. We have all of these scary, intimidating, mythical beasts everywhere, and they just kind of hang out and wait for gods to start beating up on them, right? And we just felt like that was I
love the pace of the game slowing down.
So we wanted to
you guys know me. I told you I like the longer games
to the map, while also adding a whole lot of more
I prefer the 30-40 minute matches compared to the 20-minute matches.
I definitely pay more attention to the jungle monsters and what they do, and like recognizing that they're part of this living map.
I like longer, more drawn out games.
Kind of situations, especially Fire Giant. He's like, get out of my area! Don't stand here. This isn't your team fight platform.
Love it.
Exactly. One more.
All right, last up for neutral objectives, we've got the Gold Fury, and it looks like there's going to be each new Fury, well, not new Fury, each Fury, there's currently 3, regular, Oni, and then Primal. They're each going to have a unique ability.
Okay.
What's going on with the base Fury ability?
Yeah, so you can see there, that's the kind of channel that all the Gold Furies are going to do, and they're also in an aggressive camp as well, so they'll chase after you. But I believe the Gold Furies one is, I'm now worth more gold if I get killed.
Right, so all 3 Furies, their special ability is a channeling single target spell that stacks. So the Gold Fury will stack the Burden of Riches debuff on you, which will stack up to 6 times and slow your movement, as well as make you worth more gold to enemy gods if killed. Which is pretty interesting. It's not that long duration of a debuff, so it's pretty specific interaction. But that's just an element of theming we really liked. So the Gold Fury makes you worth. Yeah, the flavor is top notch. So the Gold Fury actually makes you
flavor. Oh yeah,
the Oni
I'm loving
Fury
that. I'm loving the role
apply
play.
The Burden of War, which will increase damage taken from all sources, similarly to the Pyromancer, and the Primal will do the Burden of Dread, which will reduce the damage dealt.
Love it.
Because of these changes, like Burden of War makes you take more damage from all sources, you might not want your Guardian tanking that. you might want to shift it up.
I love it.
Oftentimes
I
you still
love it, dude.
The primal reducing damage dealt. You definitely don't want like your assassin who sometimes start these camps on their own just because they have high lifesteal or something like that. You won't want them getting that stacked because they'll be losing that debuff. You can also interrupt these by wisely resetting the camp and transferring aggro between characters too, which I expect a lot of the pro players will master relatively quickly. But the thing is that this provides a lot of additional threat to just standing around with this camp aggroed to you, which is a pretty common thing to do. We want to make sure that has a reasonable amount of risk and reward involved in that strategy.
Heck yeah.
So along with all of these abilities, every single jungle camp, almost all of them, has a significant amount of balance notes, which we didn't go through and read all the numbers here because it'd be a little wordy for us to read out. But a lot of the camps have been made a little harder to clear, but they've also been made worth more experience. Okay. So we're gonna see junglers making their rotations, so as far as where in the jungle they're reaching at what timestamp, that's going to slow down, but their level and experience is going to actually increase. And this also has a big effect on the rest of the map. So as I kind of mentioned at the beginning, we want to see a lot of playtesting, a lot of iteration, a lot of feedback going forward to see how this feels. But it does a good job in our testing of making all of the classes and the different roles be more equivalent in experience.
Interesting. We'll see what that's like. Something
that wraps it up for all of the conquest changes. Lots of exciting stuff.
Wow.
I'm super excited to see what players come up with when interacting with all these new jungle camps. But let's go ahead and hop into items. And to kick it off, we've got a pretty big shift to physical penetration. What's going on, guys?
Oh, do we?
So similar to our changes for magical penetration at the start of Season 7, we were looking and seeing that in a lot of cases, people could kind of build one item and suddenly negate a lot of tankiness in the game. And so we wanted to separate percent pen, make it a stat that people are more regularly and consciously building into their builds. And so like magical, where we created a few new percent pen options as well as some 20% options, physicals are also getting that change. With a few tweaks. Unlike magical, items like Spear of the Magus and Obsidian Shard, they have different considerations and different power level. So we've kind of adjusted all our items according to what physical specifically needs, as well as physicals have more kind of classes under their umbrella. So you have the hunters, you have the assassins, you have the bruisers, and you have the tanks, where mages are mostly ability focused, and we have in-hander. So there's a few more percent pen items. Some are specifically reserved for one type of class. Others are more, we're kind of expecting only certain classes to really lean towards them.
For sure. So physical
give me the dirty information, dude.
Is now going to have a 40% cap, but you can get physical percent pen from a variety of items, and we're going to go right into it and start with Titan's Bane. We're going to be increasing the cost here on Titan's Bane, increasing the physical power, adding 20% pen, but there's a new passive. Your first ability cast gains 20% physical penetration,
so and that 23 to 2,500 gold on the item. Power from 30 to 40.
Similar shift as you saw with Obsidian Shard,
first
and this is especially going to be a much more popular item on ability-based characters now. So as Tom was mentioning, we have to do a little bit of different strategies in applying this physical because there's a lot of different types of gods.
So just physical Shard,
and you used to see this as a one purchase for tank shredding on hunters. Probably not going to see that as much anymore. Maybe still on some of them or some of the ability-based ones, but probably not as much anymore.
Interesting.
And one other important thing to note about physical pen that's a little bit different of consideration as well, just to kind of give an example, percent pen on towers, right? That's something that used to exist in Smite.
It does not.
We removed it. Hunters saw their damage to towers decrease. With percent coming back as a stat in this way, you actually are going to see hunters and assassins do more damage to towers again. So again, when we talk about like the different considerations magical versus physical have, this is like an example of that.
Good point.
For sure. All right. Next up, we're going to talk about the Executioner. We're going to be decreasing the cost on the item, increasing the power, but we're decreasing the passive shred from 12% per stack to 7% per stack.
Hunters had a lot of
one.
Yeah, we went back and forth on this one for some time. Executioners is kind of analogous to the Spear of the Magus for mages, where it was this kind of defining item, but it was defining in a different way where most hunters could make use of this item really well. It wasn't really defining which hunters were good over other hunters, and so rather than try and change it too much, we just wanted to kind of go with our messaging of the percent pen should be something that you build over the course of the game. Buying this one item kind of negates tanks out the gate. So we're reducing the cost and making this easier to build and giving it some more raw power.
I mean, that's not horrible.
Just so that the curve is a bit better early on when you're fighting other squishy characters in lane or
but it's also
minions.
cheaper.
And then you can let the percent pen help with other percent pen items later on into the game.
I mean, it's certainly a nerf to the penetration
one that we had to like really go back and forth on. But given all the other changes that we're about to go into Hunters, we feel this is a good spot for it.
We got to see the other stuff first, you know.
Next, Atalanta's Bow. We're going to be adding 20% pin to the item, removing the 10% movement speed. And this item is going to have a new passive, which is a fun one. Whenever you get a killer assist on an enemy god, you gain Atalanta's agility, increasing your attack speed and decreasing your movement penalty for basic attacking.
This is half Fatalis.
Wow.
Or like less than that, because you have to get a killer assist on an enemy god first. And then you get a reduced Fatalis-like effect. And we can balance that 50%. We can adjust that as needed. But this feels really good to be moving quickly in all directions. This one's specifically designed as kind of a new 20% pen option for hunters, since we pretty much took away Titan's
passive. That item is
except for
sick.
some rare cases. Atalanta's Bow is your new option here, with 20% pen on it and still already pretty good attack speed and power stats from before that were unchanged. It's losing the movement speed, but it's gaining so much more across the other.
Step on the gas, dude.
20% penetration is a pretty
That's
huge
literally
swing.
an insanely
and this passive is
good
really
item.
Strong. Really lets you feel powerful and lets you follow up on kills really well.
That's an insanely good item.
Cool. All right. Next up, we've got
really
Rage.
good. Why would you ever build Xe when that exists? I have no idea. That's just way better than Xe. Way better.
Rage is one of those items that we've seen people really pick up even when they're not going crit builds.
It's because Rage is way too stat efficient.
Too effective for what it's doing. But given the amount that we're about to shake up Hunters, obviously the execution change we just talked about in physical pen shift, we wanted to keep that somewhat relevant to where it currently is and let players play around it and do some balancing on it afterwards versus doing a large change to Rage right out the gate. We do recognize that it's a pretty strong item as a whole, and so we're giving it some cost increase to kind of
they're just going to increase the cost by 100 for now.
All right,
it's still going to be a very strong item.
Bow. We're going to be adding 10% physical penetration, removing the 10 flat pen, but we're increasing the physical power that you gain from the passive per stack.
Oh,
I swear this item is going to be good one of these days.
There it is.
This overcap is just a really cool theory crafter type of passive. People really like it. There's a lot of places
1.5 to 2. That could be it.
Too much attack speed.
That could be what finally makes it good, folks.
So I think this ability
that could be relevant.
Passive is just a great necessity for the game.
2 per stack might be enough.
You can also slot it into builds to round out the amount of tank shred you need.
Plus with 10% physical pen,
passive, just going to make it
you
more
might be able to rock that like
speed,
Apollo, dude. Time to give it another try.
So I'm really excited about this change too.
Yeah. There's for sure.
Let's talk about the Shuriken.
There's for sure potential there now.
We'll have to test it. We're just reducing the attack speed there by 3% from 10 to 7. But we've got a new Shuriken coming onto the battleground, Shadow Steel Shuriken. And this is a brand new item. It's 2,500 gold. It's got 20 physical power, 10% attack speed, 20% crit chance, and a passive. Enemies hit by your critical strikes have 40% reduced healing and regeneration for 8 seconds.
Anti-heal crit item.
Yes, we saw Hunters especially kind of struggle to really build anti-heal options against teams with high healing.
20 power, 10% attack speed, 20 crit.
Brawlers, you might be able to justify some ability characters, but
I mean, the stats on it aren't great.
Oriented, so the Shadow Steel Shuriken really fits that slot. Obviously, you're taking a pretty big hit on your offensive stats. 20 power and 10% attack speed isn't much to really go with a crit build. But if you are building that, you have the other synergy items. This can be a pretty good slot for any crit build.
That's cool. That's good, though. That's good to the options in the game.
Talking about crit builds, Poison Star, we're going to be decreasing the attack speed on the item by 5% and increasing the physical power from 30 to 35.
As we were creating the new Shuriken and as we're making some pretty big changes to Wind Demon, as you'll see next, we wanted each Shuriken to have a specific stat that it excelled at. Right, Pon? So the Poison Star is now the high power Shuriken, whereas the Shadow Steel is the crit chance, and Wind Demon is going to be attack speed and penetration.
Okay, that's fine by me. I like more defined roles.
We're about to give Wind Demon penetration, which I know is really scary. Wait until you see it.
That is really scary.
All right,
giving Wind Demon penetration does sound scary.
We're going to be decreasing the crit chance from 20% to 15, decreasing the power from 30 to 25, and the passive is now going to provide 10% physical penetration in addition to attack speed and movement speed.
Yes, so Wind Demon getting 10% pen is something that we wanted to find a good place for it to go into crit builds to get a little bit percent pen option.
So it gives
and we felt Wind Demon was the best choice for that one because we could put it on the passive, which delays the pen a little bit to where you need to actually be building crit to get it. As well as when we were adjusting our stats, this item losing out on power and critical strike chance means that you really do need to build more into that critical strike path. Before at 20%, you could almost justify not really building any other.
There's definitely a lot of crit options now for hunters.
A lot of crit options. You really need to build that supplemental item, and so we're hoping that these stats were shifted enough to really make this a good home for the percent pen, because we feel like it's going to be healthier than having just 10% all the time.
Very interesting. Let's move right along and talk about Soul Eater next. We're going to be decreasing the cost on the item, decreasing the power, removing the mana, but we're adding 10% physical pen, and it's going to provide 5% ability lifesteal on the base version, and then on the evolved version, we're decreasing the power, removing the mana, adding 10% physical pen, and increasing the physical ability lifesteal.
21, so 200 gold reduction. But
so
10
this is becoming
power
another
reduction.
percent pen option, which required some pretty big
Taking
shifts to the
away
item. It had
200
ridiculously
mana.
high amounts of power before to make it more attractive.
Adding 10
really kind of
physical
excessive
pen.
how much power
And giving
it
it 5% life steal
surprising
even
that the item
before
was not
the
more
stacks
popular,
are
even
completed.
though it had that much physical power on it. So as that power is being adjusted, the
2100 gold is cheap, but I'm
also,
not really feeling it.
People really enjoy this passive, and the fact that you don't really get to experience it
maybe,
at all.
Maybe it'll still be like okay on the people it was okay on before, like Pele,
some of that
but
life steal healing through abilities right upon purchase,
doesn't really
and then
do
it's
it for
going
me.
to get even stronger once the item evolves.
Doesn't really do it for me, not compared to the other items we've been talking about.
Moving right along, we've got Heartseeker up next. We're going to be decreasing the cost here. We're going to be removing the 10% flat pen and adding 10% physical pen.
Ooh.
Yep. So the big thing here is we needed another percent pen option for the more high power ability assassins. And Heartseeker felt like a great place because it already kind of targeted being a tank buster.
10% pen on Heartseeker.
And so the flat pen made it too effective kind of against everyone, especially like any squishy target that you were going to go for with that power
29, 200 gold reduction, take away the flat pen, but give it percent. Very
your answer as an assassin to the frontline tank that's really stopping you from
getting okay, just hit my knee in my desk, not a big deal. Only hurt a lot. Very interesting.
Next up, Fail Not. We're going to be just adding 10% physical pen to the item.
There you go. A lot of people like this item, but they felt like it was just lacking something.
Interesting.
I think this is a pretty nice something to add to
I like
it.
that.
I think it fits well with what this item wants to do. And will help round out a lot of different builds.
Nobody was building Fail Not, and that will actually make it very interesting. So.
All right, and then next
that'll be very
interesting.
This
is our last one up for person talking about physical percent pen.
I
We've got Masamune. This item has been removed from the game, but you guys will be able to find something similar on a new item that's being added to the hammer tree that we'll talk about a little bit later. But an item called Serrated Edge is going to be taking Masamune's place. And this is a brand new item. It's 2,400 gold, has 40 physical power, 10% life steal, 10% movement speed, 20 physical pen, and a passive. If all of your non-ultimate abilities are on cooldown, you gain 40 basic attack power and 10% life steal.
Yeah, this one's a really interesting one, and I'm curious to see what characters really end up making use of this kind of passive. The goal here is to give players who use all their abilities to kind of get in and then finish off targets with basic attacks.
40 power,
to be 10%
life steal,
kind of play style.
10% movement speed,
choosing to risk maybe their mood ability to get in rather than
physical
escape.
pen.
And it's obviously
if all of your non-ultimate abilities are on cooldown, gain 40 basic attack power and 10% life steal.
Yeah, this is the assassin 20% pen
Auto
option.
attack hunters are freaking busted.
As we kind of looked at all of the penetration across the board, most of the items we talked about today have 20% or 10%, and you'll be able to build those in some combination to reach that 40%. That's what we think will drive a lot of new build decisions and a lot of new build diversity going forward.
I don't care,
This one happens to be for melee only, so this will be available to assassins.
All of the melee
you'll also have Titan's Bane and Atalanta's Bow.
Just
that
got
will be
busted.
Applicable to more gods.
You buy Golden Blade right into this every game.
Physical
Boom.
penetration shift. We're going to talk about warrior items.
Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it.
We're going to start with Glad Shield. Glad Shield is going to be a T3 item in the mid-season update. It's going to be 2,500 gold, 25 power, a lot of other stats that we'll have on the screen for you in a second. But the big thing is the passive. We're changing that up significantly. Any enemy god who is under 50% health takes bonus damage from your abilities equal to 15 plus 2 per level of your physical power.
So really what we're saying here is there's no more Glad Shield and Berserker Shield. Those tier 2 sustain items in the solo lane are gone. We felt that those were really hamstringing the meta or pushing it in a very specific direction for a long time. Now we're going to see a very different solo lane meta develop without these, whether we might see some certain gods rise to the top of the pack because of these changes, and we'll nerf those gods accordingly. But the idea here is that we're going to make the lane more aggressive in general. We're going to prevent these characters from just over-sustaining against each other like crazy. People are maybe going to be concerned about gods that already have built into sustain, but those gods were buying Gladiator Shield and Berserker Shield anyway, and their sustain was just completely through the roof now. So no matter what happens, we have reduced the amount of sustain in the total solo lane.
Good change, dude. Great changes today.
Our goal here is to
one sword that we just looked at, but
more solo kills, make solo laners feel like they can have a bigger impact on their team as a whole by actually winning their lane matchup, as opposed to just out-sustaining each other for 15 to 20 minutes, then joining a team fight.
Yeah.
That's really the main goal behind these two changes. So both Gladiator Shield and Berserker Shield are going to be more expensive. They're going to be tier 3s, and they're going to have completely new passives that don't heal the owner of the item.
Love it.
For sure. Let's go ahead and talk about Berserker Shield and move right along. Like you said, it's going to be a T3 item, and the new passive on Berserker Shield is going to be, if you drop below 40% HP, you become Berserk, and Berserk provides 20 physical power, 20% attack speed, and lasts 5 seconds, refreshes if you're healed or redamaged.
Yeah, so much more aggressive than the kind of Gladiator
30
Shield, which gives you some
protection,
defensive stats,
20% attack
speed,
speed,
use your abilities on lower health
10
targets.
physical
this
power.
one encourages
you
you to
drop below
dive
40%,
in,
you get 20 power and 20% attack
additional
speed.
boost to really get
That's
kills.
like, it's kind of another Kali item.
Maybe Bologna can make use of this. Some assassins who want to be a bit more aggressive.
Yeah, Vamana would like this item a lot.
Might also be able to utilize this
Kali
really
would like this item a lot.
A big change to warrior itemization. Glad Shield and Berserker Shield being very different is going to have a kind of a ripple effect on pretty much everything else.
Hunters can buy shields as well. Like a hunter can't buy the previous sword, but hunters can buy shields. That would be an interesting,
it's called the Sledge.
Defensive item for a hunter later in the game too.
And the passive on this is going to be for each enemy within 55 units of you, you're going to gain 10%, or not 10%, 10 magical and 10 physical protections, stacking up to 3 times.
It's essentially this is Masamune redesigned as a hammer with some stat changes, and now this will be available to all classes instead of just melee like it was in the Katana tree.
That's a good item.
Treating this mostly as a warrior item.
40
but we
power,
could
300 health, 150 mana, 20% CCR, with a potential for up to 30 physical and magical protections. I mean,
this was a really popular effect. People just like this idea of I get tankier when I'm in the heat of battle. So it was really popular.
It's not as OP as the sword, I don't think.
We didn't want to cut from the game, but we needed to make room for that 20% penetration option in an assassin only tree.
2300 gold, that's reasonable.
We did not want hunters buying that. So we essentially moved and renamed and rethemed, and we were trying to think of a new type of hammer, and we came up with like a sledgehammer, and instead of giving it a fancy name, we're like, it's just the sledge. It's a sledgehammer, and watch out, here it comes.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot more tanky, and the passive works off only 3 gods instead of 5, so skirmish oriented as well.
Right, that's a really good point to note, that you don't have to have such high variance on the item. Now you can actually reach that,
I like that
max efficiency
it's a good item.
and in other games.
Without a doubt, that's a good item. Some people are going to buy that. 20% CCR is nice.
Go. All right, let's move on and talk about all the other items getting changed.
The Sledge is also a great item.
Let's start with Assassin's Blessing. We're going to be increasing the health on the item. It's now going to provide 7 physical and magical power, increasing the healing from jungle monsters when you kill them, but we're decreasing the bonus damage done to jungle monsters.
Okay.
Yeah, so this kind of goes along with the goal of the jungle being a more difficult but rewarding objective to fight. We've tuned the numbers so they feel good to fight as other classes, but with that 40%, junglers still kind of just blew through everything and killed everything, and it made it difficult to increase their reward or to really balance them.
I can deal with that.
And so we've decreased the amount of bonus damage they get. They still are the premier jungle slayers. They're the ones that farm the jungle. And just to make up for the fact that they're going to be a little bit slower at killing things, they're going to gain some bonus sustain so they can survive, as well as the item itself. We've seen a lot of people complain that it just doesn't feel a good enough starter in its own right outside of being able to kill jungle camps. So it's getting a boost of health that you can use maybe when you're trying to gank, and additional power that's going to make you effective against all targets.
Cool.
I mean,
next up.
Sorry,
Go ahead,
didn't
AJ,
interrupt.
sorry.
Just a lot of times we've heard about Assassin's Blessing needing to have a little bit more wider application, as Pon touched on, the shift down, and just want people to understand that you're going to be also experiencing this on rebalanced jungle camps. With different tankiness stats too, so things are going to feel a little different, and we just want to encourage experimentation. Try out a lot of different junglers.
Let them feel different.
Which ones
Let
really
them feel different, Ajax.
And we'll be excited to watch and try out those changes ourselves.
Yeah, it's exciting
for sure. All right, next up we got Warlock Staff. We're going to be increasing the base power from 65 to 85, but decreasing the base power per stack that the item grants.
That's good, though.
So even though this looks like a shift, it's actually a buff because it's buffing it at both stages of its life cycle, just not buffing it as much late game.
Warlock Staff being better at the start is good.
7, and we preemptively nerfed before launch because in our internal testing, it was extremely powerful. However, we launched it a little underwhelming, and then all players weren't there for internal testing, so they never saw that powerful Warlock Staff build that we were running. So we're wanting to make sure that we make this item actually a viable option.
Fine by me. It's also a Baba buff.
We think that the healthier way to do that is through more power. I think it's good for us to have a power health balanced item. Putting too much tankiness on that item is going to cause problems for sure. So we focused on this specific update on giving it more power.
Fine by me.
All right, moving right along. Book of Thoth going to be seeing a decrease in cost.
Interesting.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of builds divert from doing these more stacking items, more long-term focused investment. Part of that's just because they were difficult to really build into as they should be, but they're a bit too difficult for that. So Book of Thoth, getting a cost reduction, making it easier to start that build path and get some of the power.
50. So 150 cost reduction.
Calculations around how it compares to other items, and it just didn't. The difficulty for building it didn't really justify the amount of power you got out of it. So making it easier to build will help that.
That's fine.
All right, next up, we've got Tyrannical Plate Helm, a new item that we saw this year. We're going to be increasing the magical power here, and then also increasing the bonus minion health that it grants.
This is essentially a revert. People saw this item at Season 7. I think they just got a little bit of sticker shock, and we listened to the feedback, and we nerfed the item, and then when it launched, pretty much no one bought it. So we're buffing it back in a few ways to hopefully bring it back to being a viable option, maybe opening up the soul lane to more guardians. But
Tyrannical Plate Helm is very
I didn't feel like we really ever got to see this item really tested because we might have over-nerfed it pre-Season 7.
All right, next
15
up is
more power, 10% increased minion health. That's a big deal.
Decreasing the time it takes to heal
That's a big buff.
15% and regain 15% mana from 5 seconds to 3 seconds.
What?
Yeah, with some sustain options being removed from the kind of warrior bucket, some of the other sustain options that exist could be a bit more effective.
Interesting.
Mail renewal takes a long time to really get the health going after you secure an objective.
5% every second for 3 seconds instead of 3% every second over 5 seconds.
Because if you only get one tick of it and then you get another kill or another objective,
a little burstier on the healing.
The rest of it, much more of it is going to be effectively going to you.
I'm down. I'm down for that little mail of renewal change.
Next, Stone of Gaia. We're going to be increasing the healing per second on this item.
Ooh, that's dangerous game.
Yeah, Stone of Gaia, although we haven't seen it much in the meta, it is a pretty consistently popular item in our casual player circles. Players
Increase
playing
healing
Assault,
from
players
0.3
playing
to 0.5.
slightly lower
Wow.
skill levels of Conquest. That extra free sustain just feels really good.
That's a pretty big buff, actually.
I think most people would agree that it's been feeling underpowered for quite a while. So we're just buffing that sustain. And Isaiah, you said it really well. As we're shifting some of the sustain options around here, we're not necessarily eliminating it all from the game entirely, but we are making it focus towards a little bit more mid-game to late game when you buy it. It's going to be harder to rush, and focusing a little bit more on specifically tankier or aggressive items being separated as opposed to items like Gladiator Shield that's just a plot gave you the perfect rounded out stats of all attack, protection, counter, CDR, and healing all in one item. That was just too much in one place.
Yeah, it was.
For sure. All right, here is a spicy one for you guys. Hide of the Nemean Lion.
Oh, what are we doing?
We're removing the current passive, and it's going to have a new passive. Every 15 seconds, the item is going to generate a block stack for the owner.
Yeah, reflect damage is one of those things that, when it's strong, it feels bad to play
reflect.
against. When it's not strong, it feels bad to play as. It's a counter option that kind of feels weird to play around. In short bursts, when you controlled settings like with relics and with god abilities, it's more fair, but this kind of always-on effect feels very difficult and punishing to play around. We're just going to move its effect to something that does a similar goal.
Every 15 seconds, it generates a block stack max of 1 stack. What?
And making it a more consistent, reliable
stack max
is potentially stronger at actually stopping damage from happening to you, but the hunter isn't going to also eat a lot of its health.
Every 15 seconds?
I'm really interested to see what the hunter mains out there say about this item, because reflect damage was a really
if I'm attacking
discussion,
at 2.2 a second on my hunters with like all these crazy really fun attack speed items, like
obviously we tried to design this item to
would
fit
so
kind
much
of a
rather
similar
go against
anti-hunter role.
I feel like this item is garbage now.
Way.
One block stack?
So I'm
if it was
interested to see
two
what the
block
players
stacks,
think about
maybe,
it,
because block stacks are very powerful. Two block stacks? If you can stack it up, maybe it's a good item. One block stack
before it generates a block stack is a really strong balance point, right? Right now it's a relatively short time, because we expect you most of the time to just clear the block stack and then continue fighting. But we could increase that time as a pretty easy way to balance this item going forward.
All right, next up on the list, we've got Ring of Hecate, and this item is going to be seeing a little bit of a rework here, and it's going to have a new passive. Each successful basic attack is going to apply a hex to enemies and empower you. Enemies are going to be receiving 5% decreased power per stack, and you receive 5% increased power and healing gained.
So Ring of Hecate, we tried and failed, I'd say, to rework a ring item on season 7, which is okay, you know. I think our goals at that time made sense, but we really kind of found that we can't outcompete Bancroft's Talon without deleting that item from the game or heavily reworking it, and that is a really popular item. So we're pivoting on Ring of Hecate, making it more of a late game focus and making it more of
That's a great item.
A boxing focus. So really what this is
5% increased power 3 times, 15% increased power is really good.
You can build into this in a later game.
Really
and you can use
good,
this when you're kind of in that stage where most of the team has left you alone in that
Oleron, that's a really good item late game.
Hunter, as a way to get a really strong power swing and sustain swing. Interesting to say as well, this increased healing, it's not like what is it, Rod of Asclepius and Caduceus Shield, which kind of specifically affect your healing. This one can affect heals that apply to you on many different ways. Actually, I'm a little mixed up. I'm sorry, Palman.
That's good. It works like that. The goal here is really give that kind of like shifty power exchange, make it more hex-like.
That's a really good item. Like a really good item
on like the lifesteal sustain. So
it's basically jacked mage Icky Ball. You know what I'm saying? It's literally like jacked Icky Ball.
I got tripped up a little bit there. What I was saying is that this does work almost more like a self buff, like Asclepius and Caduceus, where this is not just increasing your life steal, this is going to increase any healing done to you. So if you are even playing with a healer, this is going to make you healed 4 more, not something that increased life steal.
That's actually, the more that I think about that passive, the more that I realize how good that's like a mandatory item to buy for a late game auto attack mage. Like if you're Oleron, you have to buy that item.
The power for the item, but we're decreasing the pen.
That's really good.
Yes, and this also might be paired well with Spear of Desolation, which is also nice.
I would talk about them together, Pawn,
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it.
Divine Ruin, decreased pen, increased power.
As well, both of them from 15 down to 10.
That's fair.
Yeah, so we saw the kind of rise of the double pen mage build where they're just rushing this and getting a lot of effectiveness. These pen options
You're welcome for the double pen mage build
throughout and be these more situational choices, but they were just being too effective. Spear of Desolation already provides a lot of power in addition to utility and cooldown reduction.
My bad.
So we felt like it could just kind of use the nerf in general. But Divine Ruin, which is this more focused anti-heal option, we wanted to make sure that it still feels really good to buy. Reducing the pen was probably too much of a hit on its own, so we've also given it some power.
That's
and it's also paired with the next
the double
one,
pen, the double flat pen early build was a little busted.
On a lot of people's radars. So the idea of stacking 3 pen options is also something that we had to consider.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Spear of the Magus seeing a rework here. It's going to have a new passive.
Yeah, Spear of the Magus needs rework.
Damage becomes marked and debuffed to take 7.5% increased damage from all sources for 10 seconds.
So Spear of the Magus's recent passive also was one of our less successful changes from Season 7. So we were willing and we were happy to adjust this and pivot it in the new meta.
Is going to be really good. One main thing to note is that
just how we've still decreased Mage's access to flat pen
110 magical power,
10
flat pen.
When previously Spear of the Magus
like
alone
Zong
was
Kui grabbing this item, dude, 7.5 increased damage.
So we have taken
everybody on the enemy team taking extra damage for everybody on your team. That's a huge
an interesting damage amplification passive, which actually is harder to do than it sounds. Like, we already have things like Soul Reaver and Telkine's Ring, which are kind of just straight bonus damage. Those are fun effects, but I do not think the game needs more of those. I think one each is kind of the right way to go about it. We started talking a lot about Shaman's Ring and how much people really enjoyed that item and how much fun it was. But that item was really confusing because instead
this can only affect one god at a time. Never mind.
Just giving you the appropriate amount of stats and giving it a cool
this can only affect one god at a time.
Passive, it was just balanced so that
it's fine.
The bonus damage
plus
the stats was just
I thought it was about to be busted.
The damage you'd buy from another Penna
one god at a time is not nearly as bad. Okay.
Yeah, it didn't really affect your build as much as people felt like it did. But they did like the theming and the visuals.
You know it's going to be bugged, though. You know it's going to be bugged at launch. It's going to apply to everyone.
Except it has a really interesting specific difference, was that it increases damage from all sources. So you can actually use your abilities as a mage to help your entire team do more damage to a target, which Shaman's Ring didn't do. And that's what lets you get a unique damage amplification feel here on the Spear of Magus.
So back away from the Zong Kuis and the AoE nuas of the world, and more along the lines of Noxes and Anubis.
And it's also important to notice that gods can only have one of these, and it has an internal cooldown, so you can only apply it to one god at a time. So if you hit a big AoE, one of those gods will get the debuff, and your item will go on cooldown until. So they're synced up, right? So you only have one person marked at one time. You could, however, buy multiple Spear Maguses across multiple gods on your team and apply this to multiple enemies.
Yep.
Okay.
For sure. All right, guys, we're getting towards the end of items here. Warrior Tabby up next. It's now going to provide 100 mana.
Yep, this was just Warrior Tabby specifically was in a weird spot for boots where it's like 40 power is really good, but we've done a lot to other boots to make them a bit more interesting. And
this one was focused on abilities, but didn't really help you with ability usage.
So now you get a little bit of extra mana to play around with that bonus power that you're buying.
It's like really good, actually.
Cool. All right, let's talk about relics now. Teleport up first. Players will now be able to use the teleport relic to teleport to phoenixes.
Shoutouts to the Olympians on this one. Didn't really see any reason not to let people do this. I assume this was a design decision made ages ago that we just hadn't revisited. So it was a pretty relatively quick discussion. We were like, sure,
that has late game implications for like solo laner positioning and stuff, and backdooring and whatnot.
This item is getting a change. When it's applied, it's now going to reduce active shields by 50%.
Yeah, shields have become a much more integral part to Smite. We've seen them more used because they're a version of healing that isn't permanent. But there wasn't really any great counterplay option. We added a bit to Yamoja with her doing more damage to shields.
Yeah,
now we're going to let
shield counter finally, dude.
Kristoff was one of those items that we actually looked at the kind of stats for it, and even when it was being built in situations where it should be good, it wasn't seeing as much success. So a little bit of extra flair, a little bit of extra use case feels wonderful here. And it's also important to note this.
Can we get some screw you Nikes in the chat?
All shielding for the entire duration.
Nike.
It's only if they have a shield applied to them, you activate
about to get sundered, son. Get sundered.
It's almost like an AoE hit effect. And this is tied in closely to the next relic change.
I love that.
Yep, this one's really
Sundering
spicy.
Spear.
Good.
Sundering Spear will now destroy enemy shields when applied.
Oh,
so another anti-shield, but stronger, but single time. So this will destroy
50%, dude.
Any
Sunder,
amount of
no
shield blue health that the opponent has at the time 50%
curse donk, 100% Sunder.
Yeah, Sundering Spear is going to be really interesting. There's some shield characters that are going to be a little bit afraid of this. But if you're burning a relic slot and a major cooldown to deal with another character's strong ability, that seems
half curse donk and 100% Sunder.
Like Joust and Duel and stuff like that.
This is the best change of the patch.
We wanted to make sure this mechanic had a proper
counter. I've been complaining so long about there being no smite counter to shields except for Yamoja 2, which is a shield.
That wraps it up for items and relics. It's time to talk about gods, guys.
It's about
time. Before we get into it, just wanted to kind of preface as our
It's about time. Also, that Kurtonk change is so good against Vamana. Vamana finally has a counter.
Still in development. We just need a little bit more time to clean things up for you guys. But we didn't forget about it.
No Loki
it's
rework?
Still coming. We're still working on it.
No,
But
we were
Ratatosk
lied
going
to.
Be receiving a rework in mid-season
no
update.
Loki rework.
Not quite Loki.
Rip.
Yeah, thanks, Isaiah. I don't want to get into too much detail about Loki, but obviously that rework we find is going to be very difficult to execute and to launch, and it's got a lot of attention being paid to it. So we want to make sure it gets the proper time, not just from the design team, but from the art team and the tech team as we're approaching Loki. And just this mid-season was huge. You know, we have some of the most insane skins we've ever made in the history of Smite in this update. We have a lot of crazy stuff from the art team and the tech team across the board. So Loki is going to be delayed a couple patches. And Ratatosker, who we feel like we had a really clear path forward with, is going to be our feature rework for this update.
A couple patches?
All right.
Because I know people want those acorns back.
I know. Let's talk about the Acorn of Yggdrasil.
How far?
And I'm not going to read all of this. Do you guys just want to talk about what we did to Acorn and how we're moving forward?
We got Bean Boozled on the
So one important thing to know
about
this rework kind of out the front is Dart's unchanged. Flurry is unchanged. Acorn Blast has a slight balance adjustment, and you'll see it, as well as the ult is unchanged. So players who like the current flow of Ratatosker's kit, it's there, it's fully intact. And all we're doing is adding functionality based off the old Acorn system, where you'd buy an Acorn and your abilities change, or
we've talked about these Acorns on stream before because they accidentally released it to live client like 2 weeks ago on accident.
So you make that choice with the Acorn at Yggdrasil.
So we've seen
it now
these
has
before.
2 different kind of branching trees: the lively side and then the metal side.
They're really
One
good.
is
If you
more
haven't
focused
seen
on
them yet,
tankiness and health, and the other one's more focused.
I'm actually going to use this opportunity to go to the bathroom because I've already
play
seen these.
styles.
The Acorns are all busted.
If you want to hop in, we can actually start showing it off.
Pon was the main designer working on this Ratatosker change, so I'm going to let him do most of the talking. But really the goal of the Acorns is to facilitate many different play styles. So each of the Acorns have, you know, specific roles or specific lanes that we think they'll excel in more with Ratatosker than others.
Cool.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about. We talked about the 2 trees. Let's start off with the Evergreen Acorn, Pon.
Yep, so the Evergreen Acorn is going to give you some power, some movement speed, and it's actually going to increase your maximum health pool based off how many health items you have. So obviously it's skewing more towards the raw tanky side, letting you engage in with the ultimate. And its passive is familiar for players who use the current Acorn. When Ratatosker deals damage to an enemy god with any ability, he restores 7% of his maximum health and mana. So this lets you really dive in, utilize all your abilities to stay healthy, and be that kind of like front line for your team, if that's the playstyle that you want to go for. It's probably the simplest Acorn, but it's also one that matches its current playstyle pretty closely, and a lot of people kind of like this really idea of like being the front line, engaging with the ultimate. Team.
Plus 15% maximum.
And it's also important to know, I don't know if we're in game.
Yes, we
are in game.
Yep.
Awesome.
That's a ratty boy.
You can see here that I actually have 2 Acorns following me. It should be 1. We're working on it for PTS, but know that you will have the Acorn following you. And when you buy Acorns, you can see here, now it's glowing the color. Look at that. You got a little friend.
Look at that.
It's also important to note that this works on every skin. So every skin has its own unique Acorn. So like the anime ones, they are more this kind of like cell-shaded style. For the Christmas one, it's actually the ornament. So you get a little bit extra flair on all your skins as well.
You guys think the tank ones are good? Wait until you get to the damage ones.
Which Acorn you're using without having to use the sword.
Yep, so that's Evergreen
Don't even
Acorn.
worry about the tank ones.
I can show you really quickly. Just get a little bit of damage on me and then go find an Odin box. And you can see abilities function about as you would expect them to. Boop. You get a nice burst of health. You can see also how chunky that heal is.
That's
so
a
you
chunky
can definitely
heal.
sustain yourself pretty aggressively in a team fight.
That's a chunky heal.
So this is your more frontline focused ability healing.
Yes, it is.
Acorn.
You
can only have 1 Acorn at a time as well, similar to old Ratatosker.
Percent of max health is powerful.
A very strong stat.
And the idea here is we want to shift you towards the playstyle that you're going towards. If you want to play that frontline tank, you're going to need that health. Because
at least you can't combine it with, you know, Gladiator Shield or something.
Similar to almost Masks, just without the drawback. On to the next one, we got
Thick Bark Acorn.
Yep. So this one is a little bit less power, But now you get bonus protections, again, class shifting in a similar way. And when Ratatosker deals damage with an ability he restores 3% of his maximum health. This is shared from the Lively Acorn passive. So this whole tree kind of gets that extra benefit.
15%.
But Flurry now provides protections equal to the protection shred from enemy gods. So the more you shred, the more you're actually boosting your own protections, as well as Flurry just gets an additional charge. You get to use it twice.
You got double the Flurry,
so
baby.
You can buy it here. You can see I also have the
and Flurry gives you protections now. Not only does it take protections, it gives protections.
Or how many flurries you have available and when they're going to come back up. Let's go back to the Odins real quick. You can see my tankiness is already up a little bit, but now when I flurry on these two Odins, I have quite a bit more protections. And I can keep stacking that up and refreshing it, especially on multiple gods. So I can get a large amount of protections very quickly if I choose to focus on that. So this lets me dive in,
keep waiting, dude.
For my team,
just keep waiting.
And be tanky so I can serve that.
These are the tanky. These are like solo lane, support lane, rat options. The next two are the damage
over to
rat
the
option.
nettle side and start with the Bristlebush Acorn.
Yep, so Nettle is a bit more power than the Lively Acorn, but it doesn't have a passive to shift it as much. But Bristlebush is 20%, or sorry, 45 or physical power, 20% movement speed, and 20% critical strike chance. In addition,
Crit Acorn.
Yep, this is the Crit Acorn.
Did you say Crit Acorn?
Yes, it's Crit
Acorn. Crit Corn.
So the old rat used to have Dart
Dash Crit is back.
It was in a way that was much more variable, a lot more things going on with it. This one more focused on encouraging you to dart in, get a really powerful dart out, and then follow up with basic attacks on your slow target that you've isolated. So here you can see Dart now deals 40% increased damage, so it's just a stronger ability and can critically strike, so you can start building critical strike items to really augment it. And when Dart deals damage to any enemy, he gains 10% physical lifesteal and 10% basic attack damage.
Yes, he does.
So once you dart onto a target, especially if you crit, you can just kind of follow up and wail a lot harder on them.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's see if I can get it.
It's a crit nut, dude.
How many does it take to get a crit?
It's a crit nut.
Oh no.
Unlucky.
It's not going to happen.
Is it? Did
there
you break
we go.
it?
There it is.
See, that's why you need to actually build critical strike with this item. But
First time this item gets built in Pro League, it's going to happen on the first start.
I like the fourth acorn even better. The fourth acorn is my favorite.
You can really engage and get a sudden burst, and it's more focused on following up with basic attacks. That's the other way Ratatosker can use this kind of like crit
I love
attacks.
the fourth one.
You can use it with his hit chain, so you're rewarded by diving in and following up with basic attacks.
I think the fourth one just sounds fun, dude.
Thistlethorn, which is hard to say.
Oh yeah, this one sounds like a blast.
I have to slow down every time I say it.
Bristlebush.
I think it's easier. It's harder than Bristlebush.
I think Thistlethorn. Easier to say.
Yep. 45 power, 20% movement speed, no critical strike chance, but enemies hit by Acorn Blast are debuffed, taking 5% additional damage from Ratasker's abilities, stacking up to 3 times. Acorn Blast now fires 5 acorns.
5 acorn blast, dude.
You got 5 acorns.
Pow!
Nuts.
Important to note.
Burst your brains out, son!
Important to note.
I'm sorry.
That you only still need 3 acorns to hit the stun, like the base Acorn Blast ability. So that has been updated to be more clear, but this means that this tool is not only a much more powerful straight-up burst on targets.
Oh yeah, that's gonna hit you so good. It's a bit more reliable
range stun.
Oh,
so you can see if I get a little bit closer, I can actually start reliably stunning people at range.
Oh yeah.
So lots of interesting things here, but the focus is use Acorn Blast,
that's gonna
pop,
dude.
Really set up bonus ability damage for the rest of your abilities,
an extra 15% damage.
So this is the more standard assassin ability user Ratatosker experience.
Oh yeah, dude.
With this, we also did
Acorn Blast.
That's gonna feel good.
Balance adjustments to the ability, right?
Correct. So Acorn Blast, now they can shoot 5 acorns. We had to do some damage adjustments and some balance adjustments to it.
Okay, that's
the big thing here is the damage for using Acorn Blast like normal Ratatosker is basically the same. Just a bit more front-loaded, so hitting 1 acorn is a bit more than hitting 2 and 3 in the amount of damage it does.
That's
but the
good,
total, if you like shotgun blast someone
good.
effectively, is the same. And then that means acorns 4 and 5 deal reduced damage, so that the damage doesn't go out of control. Because if you got full damage on each acorn blast,
that's good.
This one would just
maybe it's not as crazy as I thought it was gonna be. They thought about it.
A bit more
I was like, dude, it's gonna be so busted.
Has its own unique use cases and feel balance compared to the other ones.
Okay, good. I was like, dude, it's just gonna one-shot people.
Base abilities, but outside of that, Ratatosker functions the way you
I'm
expect.
glad that they thought about that, because that was going to ruin the game for a little bit.
Focused user and darting in aggressively. You can be the bruiser for your team and really shred prots on the enemy team, especially because you have two charges, so you can really keep that shred up. Or if you just want to be a front line and be super healthy and tanky, you can go the Evergreen Acorn and get a lot of health. So lots of ways to shift Ratatosker. Maybe we'll see him not only in the jungle, but maybe in the solo lane, maybe even in the support role if you can figure out how to make that work.
Support plenty times.
Just really interesting stuff with these Acorns, and we're happy that we can bring back this kind of unique part to Ratatosker in a way that we feel is going to be.
You got to watch that Twitchy tournament series, Pon.
For sure, it'll definitely be cool to see
$1,900 finale this Sunday, dude.
Acorns for different situations.
He's not watching. He's not watching. Right. The biggest non-SPL tournament series
for mid-season. Yeah, that's Ratatosker. So let's go ahead and hop into God Balance for mid-season. Like we said earlier, that's our one rework for mid-season. Let's go ahead and kick it off with the rest of the gods.
So no low-key rework
start
today.
Off with Ao Kwang. We're going to be increasing the slow range on Dragon Call and decreasing the cooldown on Wildstorm.
Nice.
Yeah, so this range
Kwang's
slow
coming
attack
back.
And these Wildstorm, these were actually nerfs we did a while back, which we are reverting.
Ao
Kwang has been pretty far out of the meta for a while now. Want to give him a chance to come back. You're going to see a lot of buffs today where we were really trying to focus on gods that we feel like have been suffering and being out of the meta for a while and just trying to bring back their core features.
Oh, he's back, baby.
I think these changes in Ao Kwang are definitely going to increase his jungle clear, definitely going to increase his ability to control a team fight with a stronger slow. So maybe we'll see the Dragon King return to his throne.
I think he will.
For sure. All right, next up, Apollo. We're making some changes to Serenade, increasing the physical protections that he gains, and also adjusting the mesmerize duration.
You're buffing
and
my
then
Apollo?
Across the Sky, we're going to be increasing the scaling from the ability.
Yeah, so when we updated his passive, I believe in Season 7,
thank you.
We saw kind of a rise in Apollo players, but that quickly fell
love
off.
Apollo.
People didn't really still value him as much, and so we feel pretty safe to buff more of his utility and Serenade, making him a more effective boxer and especially increasing the mesmerized duration.
Very nice.
Combined with rewarding players for using Across the Sky aggressively. If you're using it to like actually just escape, it's as good as ever. But if you are using it to be aggressive, we want to reward you for that. And the 120% scaling didn't quite feel rewarding enough.
Oh yeah, that's
physical
good.
power scaling. In case anyone was confused, usually we do write that. Minor.
All right, next up on the list, we've got Artio, Energy Surge / Maul Prey. We're going to be increasing the Druid damage on the ability and increasing the healing range. And then Life Tap, we're going to be heavy
buffing
charge.
Artio, scary.
We're going to be increasing the slow duration on heavy charge.
10 increase heal range,
we've seen Artio make a few appearances in the pro league and some specialist players. We have a few pros that really favor her, but I wouldn't really say she's been meta for quite a while.
10, 30 to 20 to 30
across the player base or high performance at all. So looking to adjust just a few things across her kit. We felt like specifically that heal was relatively difficult to pull off. So since it's such a conditional heal, like you have to hit an enemy with a close range attack and allies have to be near you.
Artio buffs get really scary
and just
really
a little bit
quick.
Increase to her base damage and
by the nature of her
control,
having all those different abilities.
Nice well-rounded buff to hopefully make sure that Artio can compete with the current scope of Guardians that she's fighting.
Interesting. Very interesting.
All right, next up we've got Baba Yaga. We're going to be increasing the damage on Baba's Brew and then increasing the shield health.
No, don't buff her again. Don't do it.
Yeah, Baba Yaga has been a really interesting character. I think people are really starting to realize that she can do quite a lot, especially when you get her
from
to late
65
game
to
really
85 at level 1?
But she does struggle uniquely in the early game.
No, you're going to have to level Brew first.
Both surviving ganks as well as actually bringing enough to like lane control and wave clear and boxing. And that was because Baba's Brood did really low base damage.
60?
We were worried about double stacking, but how it's actually played out and people utilize her kit, that double stacking is something that should be rewarding, but can be more rewarding than it currently is. So we're increasing the base damage there while letting it scale to a very similar amount.
Still scales to the same spot.
Home Sweet Home is getting a more rounded buff to her base.
That's so much damage
rank 5 ultimate shield,
you can get it
meaning that players who choose to die for early on are going to see a little bit more difficulty in actually killing her. But keeping it about the same
base
for
damage
late game,
plus the
which
scaling,
she should be putting herself at risk and using the shield really just to get her damage out versus being able to immune all incoming damage.
You're going to throw a potion over the wall, pull the one out of your pocket, walk up to the wave. Oh, yeah.
Next up, we've got Bakasura making a change to Eat Minion, increasing the scaling on the self-heal, and then also increasing the protection.
Don't buff Baka. He just got Golden Blade. Don't do that.
Bakasura is a very interesting god to balance every time we visit him.
No. He just got Golden Blade. No. He just got those new items.
And there's a large group of people that think this is one of the best
he got new items. No.
We're trying to find out where in that middle ground he actually lives. So he can be really strong and really aggressive.
He can be.
One of the key things to playing Baka really well is using this Eat Minion and using it in combat in a way to actually use that protection buff or to heal himself up at a really critical moment. That's what separates the good Bakasuras from like the pop.
Pinch yourself one of your dreams.
So we wanted to make sure that they were properly rewarded for the there's a lot of special cases. You have to be fighting near a wave or a jungle camp, or you have to be able to use, which he can swallow back his regurgitate minions, which is a little known feature we added a couple months ago that people tend to forget about. He can hit those too. But we want to make sure that feels impactful, and we wanted to buff him this update because we felt like the community has been leaning more towards that side, but we didn't want to buff his outright aggression because he's already pretty insane at that, and so we found that this was a really interesting way to go about it. I think this is going to be good for him without pushing him over the edge.
For sure.
All right.
Next up, we've got Baron Samdi. We're going to be increasing the damage on Vivid Gaze.
He can get a buff. That's fine.
To wrap it up, we're going to be increasing the scaling.
Yeah, Baron is an interesting character. Some people feel him as like a mid laner, but not quite there, or a support and not quite there. And we wanted to focus him being more successful in that mid lane, more magey role.
10
so
more
a little bit
damage,
increased damage on Vivid Gaze is going to help.
Not nearly as much damage as
and the increased scaling on Wrap It Up is going to help with his overall combo and threatening actually killing targets late game.
Increased scaling
as he builds more and more
5 to 8%, 25% to 4. Okay. That's fine.
All right, next up on the list,
those are fine changes, Baron.
Going to be seeing a change to Tremors, and Tremors will now deal an initial tick of damage whenever he starts casting the ability.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, this one was mostly a visual one.
Well, not just visual, but tactile, right? Feel.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to think of. Like, it's strange for all these effects and like the circle starts showing up whatever, but you don't actually take a hit really until what feels like the second animation, right? So this ability is just going to feel a lot more responsive.
Cool.
It is technically, dealing one additional tick in the same amount of time it did before. So it's +1 ticks. However often this ability has whatever duration you want it to have, which is a very unique aspect in Smite. But no matter what, you're getting one additional tick. So it's going to be better, especially in those short-term channels.
That's fine.
And I think
he usually gets interrupted out of it anyway.
Probably that much Kabrakan lately. So we were happy to buff him and make this ability feel a lot better.
No issues.
All right, we've got another Guardian up next. We've got Cerberus, Paralyzing Spit and Soul Expulsion. We are decreasing the cooldown on both these abilities by 2 seconds.
Okay. Oh, yeah, he does have a long cooldown.
Cerberus is a Guardian that I think some people feel is pretty strong, but not quite there.
He gets very
spooky. We don't see him too much at a very high-end level. His overall stats are a little bit underwhelming.
Okay. That's okay.
General perception on him is lower, so you just want to help him out, make sure that he's able to do his things.
That's an okay spot for him to be. Those are good changes.
Explosion had very long cooldowns. These are just being decreased, more reliable tools that you have access to more often in team fights.
Thank God they didn't give it more damage or something. That would have been a disaster. That's fine.
Training exercise.
Are they buffing my boy?
Increase in damage, and then we're increasing the scaling of Masterful Shot.
Yeah, buff my boy.
Chiron, he's kind of been, not super meta for a while. He did have some nerfs when he first launched.
Oh, that was about the only 20 damage at level 1. Nice.
He's almost more of an ability hunter.
10% scaling.
Nice. Really consider him more of an ability hunter. So here you see two big improvements to his base damage and scaling damage of his abilities. This should really help him compete in lane with other hunters. I personally think Chiron's going to be really strong going into this, but we made a lot of changes to hunters. We have a few other hunters that are getting even spicier changes that we're about to talk about. So really excited to see where this meta ends up in the next patch. But I think Chiron is going to be a really good option that will probably still get overlooked. So if you're looking for a new hunter and you're not quite sure who to try,
I love Chiron.
Give Chiron a try.
He's one of my favorites.
Really good feeling god to play. A really good long range ability could sustain to clean up kills and stuff like that. Really cool playstyle for a hunter if you're looking for something different.
I'm rocking only hunters in the mid lane anyway, dude, and auto attack mages after that. Elder Hopper got put in. I'm never going to be able to kill it.
His ultimate ability, Descended in Madness, he is no longer going to be able to use relics while in the ultimate form.
Yep. So we talked about Cthulhu and bonus balance, but this is a change that we needed to actually have a kind of full patch for.
No longer can
want to
use
make sure
relics
that
in his
there's counterplay-wise in his ultimate state. He's getting a lot, but the amount of relics he could also use creates some visual clarity issues. Some were hidden by effects, as well as it was just a very strong thing in general. So we are going to actually make that a bit more fair in that way.
Good.
All right. Next up, we're talking about spicy hunter changes.
Yep.
Let's talk about Cupid making a change to Heart Bomb. Minions will now take 50% additional damage from the explosion and the initial hit.
That's huge.
I mean, I could get really specific about the balance history of Cupid and why this works, but really, I think we all know this is what Cupid needs, right? This is what the god currently suffers at.
Yeah.
He's got good team fight control.
He's got
good utility. We've given him better attack speed. He's got that stim just permanently built into his ranking up of his dash. So he's just gotten some good stuff, but he still struggles a bit in lane. That's what this is there to address.
Cupid mid is back, baby.
We've tried to do things in the past with him where
Cupid mid
we buff
is
his
back
kit in all different types of situations.
Heck yeah.
This tends to make him just too good at team fighting.
Everybody trying to pick
hoping we can make him good
as
in lane.
Merlin in the next patch. I'm picking
Cupid
and I'm wrecking you, Aang.
And I think another really important thing to
Fire
note
Lord
is
all up in here, baby.
For Cupid, really skillful players can utilize this bonus damage to like snipe minions that are lower health and actually get the AoE explosion for the stun. So there's a lot of also skill testing in the lane that you get with this change that makes that easier to execute. So you get to look for those opportunities more.
Perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we've got another hunter change up next. Medusa. Viper Shot is now going to have 4 charges at all ranks, and we're increasing the scaling on the ability. Acid Spray is going to be seeing an increase in scaling and range. And then Lacerate, we're increasing the root duration.
No, that's too much.
So lots of Medusa changes too.
Oh no, that's
Medusa
too much.
Those characters I think had like
no,
a
she
very
just
strong
became
launch,
so good.
And then we never really saw see play much more after that. But people have that kind of memory of Medusa.
Increased scaling.
But we feel pretty safe with these buffs. She's been underwhelming and hasn't really seen much play. This focuses on Viper Shot being a more consistent
she just became
stem,
so good.
Acid Spray being a bit more reliable as well as a bit more damage. And
man, hunters are going to be so good.
Is the projectile
hunter mid every game, dude.
So the cone isn't bigger. The actual, like, your ability to fire and hit a minion, that part is a bit longer. You have more wiggle room there. And then finally, Lacerate, locking down a target more. If you're going to use it aggressively to lock down a target as a hunter, be a bit more rewarded for it.
The new Atalanta's bow,
for the Medusa meta that we're about to see. This god has not really felt the power that I feel like she deserves ever since her release.
And the Atalantas, give me the mid lane. Cupid and Medusa and Chiron.
Let's talk about Mulan. Grapple, we're going to be increasing the training speed for this ability and also increasing the protections that you get. And then Divine Mastery, we're increasing the arrow damage scaling from 50% to 60%.
This is some quality of life buffs for Mulan. Grapple tends to be a little harder to stack because you're not necessarily just spamming it on anybody. You're saving it for a specific escape or an interrupt or an engage. So we want that to be reflected in its training speed, as well as the payoff. So we want that just to feel a little better, so you're going to get more protections. And then her ultimate is still a very common discussion point whenever we bring up Mulan balance feedback. A lot of people still feel like the ultimate is maybe a little bit too much time for what it does, locks Mulan down a little bit. So we're just increasing that scaling damage on the third shot even more to make sure that it really has an impact. You know, getting that good team fight Mulan ultimate can be really devastating to a whole team fight, but it also puts Mulan in a lot of danger. So we want to make sure that the risk reward feels balanced.
I don't mind that change for Mulan.
Cool. All right, let's move right along, and let's talk about a Neath buff. As I hear Titan Cupcake screaming in excitement for her house.
She's been so bad for so long.
We're going to be the animation and travel time for the ability are going to be sped up. Broken Weave, all enemies are now going to be able to see the Neath base Broken Weave, even if she has a skin equipped. And then the big one here, Unravel. We're going to be decreasing the attack speed debuff. This ability is now going to steal attack speed from enemies and buff Neath the same amount.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, so lots of things here. The two really big ones are Unravel becoming a more stim-like cooldown, where you're actually stealing attack speed from your opponents. So late game, Neath gets a bit more ability to actually like fight more directly and use that ability. And
hitting multiple gods will debuff them all, but only apply one buff stack to Neath.
Animation times in SMITE are super important. And we have a lot of consideration when we like increase timing or decrease timing or the base time that we choose for each ability.
Then it'll be 18
but this one felt like
to 30,
it was long and
so
limited,
it'll still cap out at 30.
options for Neath. It
That's
made one part that
wonderful
felt
for
like she
Neath.
should be intuitive part kit with the backflip into a spear arrow combo.
Beautiful.
Possible to pull off.
Yeah.
And so we've increased it to allow those things to be a bit more fluid.
Oh God,
making sure that
you
there's
okay?
Still clearly
Guys, are you guys okay? Hi-rez?
You can still follow up things. It just feels better.
Hi-rez, you okay?
These are big changes.
Oh, we're good. They're back.
Yeah, for sure.
They're okay.
Nemesis is up next. Slice and Dice going to be seeing an increase in damage.
Yeah, this is following along with what we've been doing with Nemesis. We have known she needs buffs. She's been buffed. I think this is the third time in a row.
They're buffing
right
Nem
now.
again?
We want to continue to take it slow and steady with
Nem's
her.
I think Nem's in a good spot
in the past, and it's
for changes,
not
to
a
be
good
honest. What are they buffing?
meta for us to be in. We're still going to avoid buffing her ultimate, that unmissable type ultimate. So Slice and Dice, bonus damage, increased damage across the board, across all ranks. Just going to help her jungle clear, going to help her poke, and should be noted that even though these numbers are look 10 per rank, that's double when you hit the sweet spot, right? So pretty big buff to Nemesis. Hopefully should let her compete with all the other junglers.
I mean, that's not a bad buff.
You know, if this doesn't quite move her forward like the last few changes,
20 damage increase on Slice and Dice early game. I mean, that's...
We're going to get there, though. We're going to get her
feeling good. That's not only good for her clear against minions. That's good for, you know...
All right, Oleron up next. Overflowing
You're probably going to get Slice and Dice instead of a 1 now.
Increase in damage, and also an increase in the damage decrease per shot fired. I know that's a little bit confusing. I'll let Pon explain a little bit more.
TLDR, Overflowing Divinity is going to be a bit more of a powerful tool when using against gods that are trying to juke it. The initial hits are going to be more damaging, but we're keeping the amount that it falls off, and as well as the amount of damage it does on objectives. We're keeping that in check to make sure that he doesn't get too much damage there on still targets. So just making it a more reliable cooldown to use against movement targets.
It's got more front-loaded damage,
next
basically.
Up on the list, Set going to be seeing a little bit of a shift here, increasing the duration of Relentless. Skewer is going to be seeing an increase in damage and scaling, and then Spawn of Set is now going to deal 60 to 80% of Skewer's damage.
Pon, why don't you take this one too for me?
Yeah, so Set is a very interesting character. Lots of really high skill testing things. Managing those clones is very difficult. But one thing that was interesting was ranking Skewer. Not only ranked your Skewer damage, but also ranked your clones. And so because you could just max those together, his early game burst was so insane if you gave Skewer any power that he would just one-shot people in lane very quickly. And so we had to tone his damage back. Here we're making it a more powerful tool in its own right and moving some of the damage scaling component onto actually ranking Spawn of Set. So if you want the full damage, you have to invest points there. But Skewer as a baseline ability that you can use at all times is going to be stronger. It'll help increase his clear speed. And also that extra second of Relentless means that when you're walking from your heartbeat camp to your blue camp, it's not going to just fall off as you try and get that last little bit of hit. You'll be able to maintain that attack speed buff as you go from camp to camp more easily. And if you have gaps in your team fight, you can also keep it alive.
Okay, so they're kind of separating how his ability works a little bit.
All right, next up on the list, Sun Wukong.
So you have to rank. So they're buffing the damage on his 1, but you have to rank up the 2 to get the percent back to the 1 was normally given.
Increasing the duration of the self buff, and then 72 transformations, we are increasing the duration of the Tiger Stun.
Really?
So we've seen a few little glimpses of Sun Wukong meta. We're almost there. We're doing a few more small buffs to get him to a good feeling spot. Hopefully he'll be able to compete with the other solo laners in this new solo meta with the changed items. Undefeated Body, a lot of quality of life there. The passive, maybe you don't really feel like you're getting much out of it a lot of the time. So making it a little bit easier to trigger and making it last a little longer. The real buff here is 72 transformations. A lot of times people would be pretty torn between which ability to rank next between Master's Will and 72 transformations. And now with this Tiger Stun buff, we're making it pretty clear that you can go ahead and rank your Master's Will and keep this 1 point wonder with the full stun duration. Should make Sun Wukong a pretty intimidating foe.
That's actually big for support Kong too.
All right, we're nearing the end of balance. We got just a couple more left. Sylvanas, Wisps is going to be seeing increase in damage, and then Wrath of Terra is also seeing a damage increase.
Sylvanas is really interesting because he does bring a lot of control and utility and being able to blink ult to engage, pulling someone out of position, rooting someone
extra wisp damage on
all very powerful
Sylvanas.
Tools, but he still struggled, and we feel like that's because he just doesn't bring enough in addition to those things. We could increase his utility, but we feel like that's going to push him in a situation that might be too frustrating.
Ultimate.
So amping up his damage some,
so
making
increasing
him
the bleed damage.
Obviously, he's still not going to be able to 100-0 you with these changes, but
Won't he,
just
though,
making him more
Pon?
threatening in general, especially that early wisp change is going to help team fight dynamics and the duo pretty effectively.
I am coming for you. The tree is coming
Second
to the mid
last,
lane,
we've got
and he's
Thoth,
going
and
to
Hieroglyphic Assault
100
gonna
to
be seeing a little bit
zero
of a shift
you.
here, increasing the scaling on the ability, but we added some damage fall off for targets hit past
I'll ruin that real quick.
units of range.
Pon, I believe you did a little bit more work on this one than me as well. Could you mind taking this one? I'll save the last one.
Increases
scaling.
scaling.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay.
Yep, so we increased the scaling, and we also made the bonus subsequent damage. So when you hit gods repeatedly, they take more damage from the ability.
Yep.
That now also applies to minions. And so the goal with that is to make sure that when he's fighting for lane clear pressure, and when he's fighting gods that are more directly on top of him, he's just going to be stronger. But his artillery mage, which creates a very difficult balancing point problem where he has to be really weak to justify that level of strength. We're toning that back, so it's still a unique strength that he brings. He can do very, very long range poke, but it's not as devastating once you get a lot of power. So taking his early game up some, taking his late game down some, still focusing on his strengths, but making them more manageable.
Okay, so this says damage increase will affect all enemies, not just gods, which is contains. Yes. But Pon wants to draw special attention to. This means he will deal more damage to minions than he used to do. Correct. So
this is an overall
although you
buff.
mentioned this kind of late game, early game, this also shifts him a little bit more to make him better lane clear.
Yeah,
but without
better
just
lane clear is super
overall,
important.
Damage output to an overall team fight. It's kind of like what we did with Cupid.
Super important.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, one more, last one.
All right, last up for God Balance. Ymir is here. We're making a change to Frostbite, increasing the duration and also increasing the damage reduction.
So we buffed Ymir. We gave him that quality of life walls feature that people have been wanting for so long. But that didn't really do much to him. Like we know that's a good feeling ability, and there's a lot of theoretical bonus damage, or not bonus damage, but just a better gameplay there. You can make plays, but it didn't really affect him too much. So we were looking at Guardians that were just still underperforming statistically. Ymir was surprisingly low towards the bottom, and looked to just buff his passive. Yeah. This is a pretty strong buff. You know, I'm a little scared about those extra swings, basic attacks that Ymir is going to get in on that increased frostbite
early
duration.
game.
That's a little scary.
Extra
and then also
buffed
we're
autos,
just
and even for the jungle,
defensive element here, because Ymir already has quite a lot of aggression. We wanted to make sure we added something to this balance change to help him play more like a traditional Guardian.
That's a
still
huge
excel in that
buff.
role. So now he's going to reduce the damage output. That's a 5% increase there, which is that's a pretty significant amount when we're talking about true damage reduction out of other gods. So the final buff of the mid-season patch is Ymir, and you know I couldn't go to a more fitting god, and we got it all done in under 2 hours. But yeah, I know I'm tired already.
Yeah, I know for sure.
We still have lots of cool stuff to talk about.
Balance. Lots of cool stuff to talk about. We'll get to Avatar in just a second. But we also want to highlight just a few more skins coming out in the mid-season update. We've actually got the start of a new event called the New Moon event. Take that as you guys will. Okay. With some awesome skins. And the first one is going to be Tornado Tech Kukulkan. And this one is really awesome. I love all the tech skins, and the card art is awesome.
Cool.
Oh, yeah. This one, we've kind of had this like mecha Kukulkan idea rolling around in our minds for a long time.
There we go.
Cool.
I love the wings. Just seeing the
Cuckoo has a lot of cool
elements.
skins. He has a lot of cool
I'm happy
skins,
to see as we take our mechs, we continue to try these on gods with completely different body types. You know, I think we have a lot of humanoid mechs that we maybe overdone in past years, but this one feels really different than all the rest.
Okay.
Sure. You know, maybe if you missed out on that Tier 5 Kukulkan last year, this will be your new main here.
This one's looking super sick. We've got another skin in the New Moon event that drops on July 14th. And this one is Pinata Party Kumbhakarna. And of course, we got to shout out our boy Wolf Dog for this amazing
my gosh. Pinata Party Kumbhakarna. Oh, gosh.
I swear, Kumbhakarna has some of the best skins.
Yep, party time. He has a paddle that says party time. That's so baby.
Funny. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness! Just look at the textures there. Seeing the flaps and all the paper. It's so good.
He's gonna thwack you with that bat, dude.
Oh, it has to.
Ooh,
that's awesome.
He's gonna thwack you so good.
I love the detail on that. On the
I like that
pieces of paper around him. That's a really amazing job by the art team.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of a really amazing job by the art team, we've got another skin coming in the viewer store. It's gonna be Base Demon Raijin. And he is joining the rest of the EDM crew to play some tunes on the Battleground. I heard from the animation team he's got a special VXG where he jams
he's literally got drums.
Yeah, there we go. So this is really exciting because Raijin hasn't had a skin in a while. This is also exciting because this is going to be in the viewer store.
Oh, okay.
So really excited about both those things, and this is just a cool looking skin across the board.
I know, it's awesome.
Technically free.
The style is awesome.
Technically a free skin.
We needed a drummer. We needed in the EDM crew. We needed the beats, right?
Yep, for sure. All right, and then the last skin that we were going to touch on before we move on to Avatar is Twisted Joke Izanami. This is going to be available in the Twisted Joke chest.
God, that's not.
And I don't know whose Twisted Joke it was to put this skin in game, but I am already creeped out.
Oh man, I literally just got goosebumps. I just got the heebie-jeebies. Oh no, there's like blood on it. Oh god.
I've been mostly opposed to it.
Oh man, that skin is really well designed, but wow, that is spooky.
It just fit the goddess really well, and we found a way to do it to make it cool. And get the colors and the outfit right. It was not an easy skin to design, but I'm really happy with how it turned out, and she looks great.
Oh man, and her weapons have the blood on them.
This is absolutely amazing. Well, that wraps it up for some of the other skins that are coming in the mid-season update, but we know why you're all here. We've got the Avatar Battle Pass coming out in the next update, and we absolutely can't wait to get into more detail with it. If you guys missed the announcement earlier this week, here's a trailer for you guys.
All right, Aang, show me what's up.
This world is in trouble.
We can't let this happen. They need our help.
That's pretty fun, dude. That's pretty fun.
That's right. Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra coming to Smite in the next update.
That's pretty fun.
We're going to get right into it. I've got AJ still with me, but I've got Bananimation from the animation team here to break it all down.
I like that.
Bananimation, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. I'm so excited to be here. How are you guys?
This is super awesome. Doing amazing now that we get to talk about Avatar.
It's a great crossover.
All that balance, very
it also was trending on like Twitter and YouTube for Smite, which is great for the game.
And our team has done on these skins.
You know,
I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that these skins have some of the most production value. I'm talking the amount of time and effort our team massively put into all three of these characters, and it really shows.
Yeah, for sure. I was talking to some community members on Reddit, and like a lot of the work is like close to, if not above, what we do for tier 5 skins. Just so much love and attention went into these characters. And before we break it all down, all these skins are going to be available in the Avatar Battle Pass. There's going to be a main track and a prestige track. The Avatar State skins and the Blue Spirit skins are going to be on the prestige track. But if you guys unlock the premium track, which is going to be 750 gems, you'll be able to start unlocking all of these Avatar skins, plus a boatload of other Avatar themed cosmetics that the team put in a ton of work into.
That's what they usually cost when they do
let's go ahead and
events.
get started looking at some of these skins, and we're going to start with Zuko Susanoo.
Yes, oh my gosh.
All the card art is so good. So Anna, I know you took point on Zuko. So what was it like working on the collaboration and bringing Zuko to life in game?
Oh my gosh. So I am a huge Avatar fan. This is really a dream come true for me. I've been like a fan since it came out. I've watched it like 9 times, so it's crazy. It was just nuts. So I was animation point on Zuko. The team did a really great job adapting Susanoo's.
It looks pretty dang good, dude. I gotta say.
And, I don't even know.
Looks pretty dang elegant, man.
And there we go. We've got Pawn, our loyal driver in game. And Anna, I'll let you take it away as we go through the abilities. Just kind of talk about some of the animation work that you guys put into the skin.
Sure. So. Susanoo originally just has one sword, so something that we wanted to do was incorporate 2 swords for Zuko, since he does use the dual swords. So I actually went in and updated an animation by our friend Jim, who's now on Paladins, and added that second sword and the slash for the in-hands. And it's very quick,
cool.
but I believe it's also in his one. He also has it in a bunch of emotes as well.
Yep, I see it, yep.
Austin killed it with the effects for this. It's
very
so cool.
Good.
Especially that ult, which I'm excited for that one too.
I'm loving the fire bending effects, dude, and this is great.
Cool. Yeah.
Cool, even on the 3, yeah.
Every time I see it, I get so excited.
This is awesome.
Very well
and I'm
designed.
just waiting for Pond to fire this ultimate ability. There we go.
Yeah, that's great.
So that we tried, especially on the animation team, and I think
great
across
all over.
the Avatar team in general, we tried to incorporate as much reference as we could from the actual show. So this was the ult is an animation that Zuko does when he fights Azula at the very end, and it was so cool to like.
Yeah, he does. Look at his animation when he casts the ulti. He does
that animation.
Yeah, he does the kick. That's cool. That's cool.
I'm so impressed with how much research the art team did. There's
a lot of detail.
A lot of people on the team were already big fans of the show, but many others who were just learning about it got really well familiarized with the show. Oh, this special emote.
Love it.
Yes. So Victoria, our animator, did this one. This is his VXG emote.
So good, man.
8 directional, so you can just fly around with your fire daggers. Super
it's so
cool.
fun too, because I literally just finished watching Avatar for the first time like 2 weeks ago, just coincidentally.
But we figured, he eventually goes on to be such an experienced firebender. He more than likely learns how to do something like this. It was that was really fun to play with.
Love it.
Yeah, and I know all the emotes are new. Apparently all the victory and defeat screens are new for all of these skins. All of them have VXGs.
Nice.
And I believe all of them have specific death animations as well.
Nice.
Tons of work went into it. I do want to preface before we head into the voice pack lines that just tons of work that goes into these crossovers, especially for one that's, of this magnitude, and tons of different difficulties that we went into working with Nickelodeon here. We weren't able to work with the original voice actors for Zuko and Aang. We were able to work with the original voice actor for Korra. But Nickelodeon was with us every step of the way. They helped us cast actors. They were there directing. So it was really awesome to have great partners in them in order to get these skins finished up and out to you guys.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I challenge you to an Agni Kai. Firebending in and of itself is not something to fear.
It's not bad.
But if you don't respect it, it'll chew you up and spit you out like an angry Komodo rhino.
It's honestly pretty close.
Cool. So that wraps it up for Zuko Susanoo. And is there anything else
from not
that
being
you
the
wanted to
original
show
voice
off?
actor?
Because
That's
I know you
pretty
put in
close.
a ton of work and you took point on
That's
this
certainly
one.
not bad at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really excited for everybody to get in there and like do his emotes. His recall that Louis did is amazing. The taunt emote that Tori did is fantastic. So definitely just, I hope you guys really enjoy. Like AJ said, we put a lot of research into the different, things that we picked for like the littlest things like abilities as well. So definitely.
The taunts, claps, waves are all completely new too, right?
Yeah, all of it is new.
Nice.
Yeah.
We honestly, these are so beyond tier 4, and they weren't even really quite what we'd call a tier 5. We just started calling them God tier around the studio. That's what we call them. These are essentially brand new characters that happen to have the abilities of gods in Smite. Like they're some of the craziest skins we've ever done, and they look so cool. I can't wait to show them.
They are very good.
All right, let's move on to the next one.
They are like tier 5 quality, basically, yeah.
I am super excited for this. I'm a big Korra fan. Oh, we've got Naga by your side as well. Got the card art. Naga, the trusty polar bear dog. This is super awesome.
I love how our artists were able to adapt to the show's style, and so these 2D illustrations, they're card arts. These are brand new illustrations by hi-rez Studios, and these models,
and this is a Scotty skin, right?
To reference them and making sure they look like the show, and
I love
they look straight out of the show. It's amazing.
Yeah, Casey did an amazing job on the characters in the card art, and then Anna.
That's a big puppo.
Amazing.
Calder been lifting, dude.
She did the backgrounds, and there's just so much detail, and it really does feel like they're from the show, which is really cool.
Hitting up the
It's already a good joke
gym.
in the SMITE community that Calder almost feels like a god of his own. Yeah. But when you see this Naga Calder coming at you, you're definitely going to agree.
And I'll let Anna kind of talk about what went into making sure Naga was able to
That's a cool auto attack,
onto
man.
this rig, but he's much bigger
God, that
than
auto attack
Calder.
is sick.
Yeah, oh my gosh. So Allie was our point on animation for Korra and Naga, and she did such an amazing job. So much went into, especially like the proportions for Naga. If you can see her legs, her front legs are so much bigger because she's a polar bear dog. She's not just a dog. So we had to go through and adjust all of her different animations to make sure that they fit the original Calder animations, as well as she does have some new animations too, which is really fun and exciting. For Korra herself, we actually worked a lot with this water rig that you can see she throws for her in hands, and it kind of, when she's running around.
Look at that cool looking,
and when she jumps up and down. That was a really, really hard technical challenge for our team.
That's so cool.
It was a rig in itself, which we had to do a lot of back and forth with our rigging department. Shout outs to Lindsay and Pamela. They were so amazing to work with. And it's just like so much, it's such a silly thing, like a little water rig, but so much hard work went into making it look cool. And I love how Brock used it in the in-hands rather than Scotty throwing her spear like she does. Korra water guns that water, which is just so cool.
And it's important to note that Korra is an avatar, so Zuko's moves were all fire themed, but specifically for the Korra skin, we specifically wanted to highlight bending of multiple elements throughout her kit. So you see her one projectile is a fire projectile, her basics and her 2 are water, her basics and her 3, are water. It's a water pool, and her ultimate is a air swirling rocks tornado. So you get all 4 elements in the Korra kit.
Yeah, for sure. I have a special request for Pawn after he does the PXG. I'd like to see the death animation for this skin because I heard about it. And
so that was Korra's. Oh no, there she goes.
Shout outs to Zahir.
Yeah, I know. So again, we tried to take references as much as we can from the show, and not only are we huge Avatar: Last Airbender fans, we're huge Korra fans too. And I love Korra so much. Allie, again, she was point on Korra. She has so much passion and love for this show. And we actually found that specific part from the show is a little bit darker. If you guys know, Zahir is an airbender that he gets really strong, and he actually causes Korra to have this kind of mental bending crisis. So her death animation represents that. Is a reference to that time where she kind of lost it all.
The Legend of Korra show is got some very emotional themes to it. I remember watching that. It's scary,
Yeah, definitely. It's funny too because when we were working on Korra, especially, a lot of folks were like, "Oh my gosh, that's so dark." Right. It's Korra. Korra's a little bit different than
the first show. Yeah.
All right, and as Pawn is jumping around showing off that Team Avatar jump stamp, let's take a couple listens to the voice pack here.
Look at the Momo jump stamp!
My mission will always be to use Rava's light spirit to guide the world toward peace and balance. Unless you want to be Naga's afternoon snack, you better back off.
That is Korra Scotty for you guys. Again, I'm super excited for this one, but we've got one more. The main attraction, as I would like to say, my favorite, Merlin main. Now we've got Aang Merlin coming to the battleground, and as we show the card art and the turnaround, and I'll kind of let you talk about what went into Aang because apparently we started from scratch pretty much for this new skin.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, I still can't get over that Janet Varney's in her game, so I'm just like,
yeah.
But yeah, so much went into Aang. We tried to use as much as we could for Zuko and Scotty, while also making sure it fit that they're characters from the show. But Aang, since he's such a different size than Merlin, we had to completely build him from the scratch up. He is definitely like AJ said, we were referring to him pretty much as God tier. all of his animations are new. And shout outs to Brock, who was animation point on Aang. He did such an amazing job.
This is probably the best like value to God ratio like skins of all time. You know what I'm saying? 750 gems for all of these skins that are like tier 5 skins that usually you have to spend like $100 for, you know? This has got to be the best value skin like ratio of all time.
Yeah, this is actually by our animator Victoria. She's using that water rig I talked about. This is kind of one of the first water bending moves that Katara teaches Aang.
Heck yeah.
She kind of took reference from that to put it in there.
This is so good. I cannot wait to see it in game.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's crazy.
And all of these characters just have so much depth to them that we
dude,
can't even
it's
show
literally him.
When you start playing
wow,
for real,
that's so crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
Look at those auto attacks.
Shoot some more basics, please.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
the basics are
awesome.
awesome.
My god.
That is one of my favorite things about Aang. I believe it was Sean, and I'm sorry if I got that mixed up on our animation team that did those. But they're honestly one of my favorite basic attack sets in our game. They just feel really
so
fluid
good
and
already.
fun to fire off. I don't know, I just really like those.
And so Aang fit Merlin well in our mind. We really tried to focus on each of these characters when we were making our decisions around their combat and their magic and their powers, what fits best. So as an avatar, Aang has the mastery over multiple elements. So does
that
Merlin.
elemental change was so
here you'll
freaking
see his,
cool.
arcane stance with the swirling ability and the pull has been pivoted to air. The fire is fire and ice is water, and earth is reflected in his passive stim, which can buff his own basic attacks. So you see all 4 elements here, and you see that iconic pose on the stance change. That is such an amazing effects and animation treatment. It's beautiful.
So good, dude.
Oh, that's so good.
Definitely.
And then Pon was kind of showing it off earlier, but on the fire stance 2, we actually completely changed the models for the dragons.
Yeah,
right there to oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's awesome. They did the dragons.
Nice. You know better about the show than I do in animation, but they are referencing the legendary fire-bending dragons. Essentially, in the Avatar universe, there is a creature that essentially bestowed each bending element to humans, and these are the referencing the fire dragons that helped establish all fire bending in that
the
universe.
earth bending is auto attacks. Yeah. When you get the passive bonus on Merlin auto attacks, instead of throwing out like the regular auto, you throw out a giant rock.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to say, like, John went above and beyond on those dragons. Like, that was something that kind of came in the last minute. And he was like, yeah, I can do it. And they look so cool.
So good.
Love this.
The iconic air scooters, the BXG. It's so good.
God. Oh my god,
can you hit
so
us with the
good.
recall whenever you get a second?
Oh my god, the bag! Holy!
Gotta have the glider in there.
That's insane, man.
Oh, it's perfect. And one more special request: the clap emote. I know Anna put in a lot of work.
We should have looked at the waves and claps
team.
And stuff for all of these ones.
Oh no, he doesn't have.
Oh
it.
no, doesn't have it.
Okay.
He does the
slash all emotes. You can't all emotes it. You can cheat that now. Does it work on them?
Rip.
Well,
okay.
that'll just
you done goofed us, Pon. You done goofed us.
Yeah. But yeah, as you guys can see, a ton of work went into all the abilities, all the animations, like we said earlier. All the emotes are done. New victory, defeat screens. Team put in so much work, and we're so excited to have this.
It's so good.
Cool. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a listen to the Aang Merlin voice pack.
Have you ever rode on the hopping llamas? Or surfed on a giant koi fish? What about the hog monkeys? Man, what do you do for fun around here? If you want to be a bender, you have to let go of fear.
That's okay. It's out of the 3.
That is the voice pack for Aang Merlin.
I would say out of the 3, it's the worst. Obviously, what's-her-face Korra is the actual voice actress, so of course her sounds the exact same.
That you'll get as a part
I would say he probably has the worst out of the 3 voices, but I'm going to be honest, it's good enough for me.
Of course, we had to include your boy Appa into the game, so there'll be a ward skin for Appa and Naga, I believe, as well as a ton of other jump stamps and global emotes.
Appa.
There we go. He is there.
Cute.
Spinning around.
Oh, Appa Ward!
And then we've got the Rava and Vatu death mark from Korra.
Yes, it's so cool.
Appa war.
And I think the only other thing we haven't seen is the global emotes.
My cabbages!
My cabbages. Shout outs to the unlucky cabbage vendor. There's apparently going to be some additional audio for that global emote that's still being worked on in dev, but tons of awesome content in this battle pass. Let's get right into the prestige track. So like I said earlier, the battle pass is going to have a premium track for 750 gems, and then once you complete the premium track, you unlock the prestige track for free. That way you can keep on grinding to unlock more rewards. And the first skin from the prestige track that we want to show off is Blue Spirit Susano.
Man.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah,
this one looks so cool.
Shout out to
that is so cool.
Anna for doing this card art. Oh, it's actually my computer background right now because it's so cool. Everything that went into these is really fun.
Yep.
There we go. And all the models for all these skins just look so clean.
I love the smooth movements on this skin, like the way that it moves through the world.
Way as a part of the prestige track, and I know you were saying that this one almost didn't make the cut.
We actually, we initially weren't gonna do another skin for Zuko, and a bunch of us on the team were like, hang on. We need the Blue Spirit in there because it's really, really cool. And plus, I think the cool thing about him is that if you're not an Avatar fan, it's still a really cool skin. He's like a ninja with a cool mask on. But I think for those Avatar fans, like, sorry for the spoiler, but it is kind of a huge part of Zuko's character as well. And heck yeah, I'm so excited.
I love all of it, dude. I love all of it. This is my favorite battle pass of all time.
All right,
I'm
so move on to the
happy that I watched
in
Avatar.
the prestige
I'm
track.
so happy.
It's Avatar
Otherwise, I wouldn't
Korra,
appreciate any of this.
Scotty. And this is her once she embraces Rava and is in her Avatar state.
Yes, this is my other wallpaper on my other monitor. I had to have two.
Cool.
Oh, so beautiful.
And just as a note here, so these prestige track skins are kind of like T2 versions of the base skins in the track.
Cool, though.
So no new additional effects or anything, but we've updated the model significantly.
Yeah, and this is Korra's later in the show look, where she goes through that crisis I was talking about with Zahir, and then cuts her hair off and kind of finds herself again, and then just ends up becoming this ultimate powerful Avatar. So we really wanted to show that off in the game. Plus, like, Rava just looks really cool, so that on Korra is just bonus. I know it only happens like briefly in the show, but we went with it.
We went with it.
I love the attention to detail the team gave towards the show. These small moments, these big moments, they're all represented here. People, when we announced this, people were like, cabbages, we need the cabbages, like they thought we would never do it. Come on, we were way ahead of that. We had cabbages ready to go from day one.
Ready to go.
Yes.
Gotta believe in bananas.
When is this coming? This patch will be live in
the whole team.
20 days.
The cabbage guy, actually, one of the card arts that Casey pitched had the cabbages guy, and Aang was just like flying through and knocking the cabbage guy back.
All right, let's move on to the last skin in the prestige track, Avatar Aang Merlin, and this is Aang in his Avatar state towards the end of Book 3, where he has his iconic fight with the Fire Lord.
One of my favorite moments from any TV show or movie or game ever was this fight. Oh my gosh.
So
I just love how strong and powerful he looks. Oh, it's so good.
No! Oh, okay. I was like, no! He looks so powerful, but he's not!
About this skin. I'm sorry, Isaiah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Anna.
I was gonna mention that scar on his back.
Yeah, they even got the scar.
Because that's, he gets hit with the lightning for the first time, and kind of like Korra knocks
the
him
attention to detail is wonderful.
John went in there.
They did really good.
And put that scar on his back.
They did really good in the attention to detail.
I don't know if you'll ever get to see it, but it is on his foot as well. We did pay close enough attention.
Yeah, super awesome. All the attention to detail, that scar. When I first saw it, I was like, no, he's got the scar from his run-in with Azula. It's crazy.
Yeah, very good.
But yeah,
wow.
So that wraps it up for our Avatar Battle Pass section. Tons and tons of work went into these skins. There's tons of awesome content.
All of that turned out
I want to pass it to Anna really quick because I
great.
know she has some people that she wants to shout out because this was a tremendous effort from multiple people on the team.
Turned out great.
Yeah. So I've kind of peppered in a few names here and there, but this was one of the first times we had the opportunity to we've been calling it a strike team, have a smaller team of people kind of stepping up and becoming creative leads on a project, myself included, which, oh my gosh, like, I'm going to faint. I just want to make sure those people get credit where credit is due. So shout out to our art director and concept artist, Mark Ross. Austin was a producer with the help of our producer, Ashley. He also did all of the effects for all the skins and some of like the cosmetics for the global emotes and everything like that. Huge shout out to John for modeling. He, like I said before, he went above and beyond and did those dragons. And I love seeing Naga, and she just looks so perfect, just like Naga. Pamela and Lindsay from our rigging team were so wonderful to work with, especially for animation, back and forth with them a lot. Brock and Allie were points on Aang and Korra, and then I was point on Zuko. I'm not going to shout myself out because they deserve a lot more credit than I do. DJ, Jeff, Chris from our tech art team helped to, bring everything from everywhere and put it all together.
I like that. I like that she's got Appa.
Casey and Anna C did the
she has two Appas. I saw a second one. Is there a third Appa?
Did the audio. Jen from she's our SMITE marketing producer.
How many Appas can we find?
Had a huge hand in making sure that we could communicate with Nickelodeon, make sure everything was up to par with them, and then also like sending the little things that we've done to them and hearing their response was really exciting. Brett in the Alacrity team, Anna Renee, Thomas, and Kalani did the 2D.
Holy cow! There were so many people involved with making the skin.
Trevor, the VP of Business Development. We would not have had this project without Trevor, so huge shout out to him. Tina did the writing and the voice acting, and then AJ.
These are like literally tier 5 skins. This is like literally like a bunch of tier 5 skins and tier 5 recolors that you can get for like $10 instead of like the normal $100.
And then
pretty
just a
much. That's like what the situation
special thank
is.
you like to the support of the leads and the managers and just the entire Titan Forge team. Everybody like really came together to make sure that these skins were something that we were all really proud of and really were something that would represent the show. As much as like we love the show, we want it to be super cool in our game. So yeah, definitely.
Shout outs to the special Avatar Superfan Council, which we created amongst the studio.
Yes.
Even for people outside the SMITE team, we created a special, a smaller strike team of people who are really into Avatar fandom to be our go-to point on asking questions, on helping us decide which characters to choose and how to make them fit into the kits. Like they were super helpful. Stephanie and Gabby from the video teams, especially. Thank you so much to them. And everyone else who just shared their voices and playtest the characters and helped us iterate through this process. I went back and checked this because people were asking. The first email I have in my work email about this project started in last November, beginning of it. We've been working on these characters for 8 months. That's longer than we work on most gods. And it was a huge effort from the whole team. And so I'm just really happy with how it's turned out. It's really amazing. So thank you to all those people that Banana Animation just listed.
For sure.
Man.
Shout outs to the entire team. Thank you so much to the community. Your excitement has been electric amongst the studio. We're excited that you're excited.
That's crazy.
Thanks so much for tuning in. That wraps it up for our update show. Wow. Thanks for hanging in there. I know it's been a long one.
Well, thank you, Isaiah. It was a great
content coming up for you next.
It was a great update show. So many good skins, good balance changes, the crazy jungle changes, dude. The new items, taking away items, moving around things, God, balance. On the whole, exactly what I was looking for from the mid-season patch in terms of mixing up the game, mixing up the meta, keeping things fresh, taking away any staleness that had come from, playing similar-ish patches for 6 months. And probably my favorite news of the day, I'm going to be honest with you, is that we are confirmed getting a new map for Season 8. Confirmed a new map for Season 8 on top of everything is like the cherry right on top of everything. It has been